Yo, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of the Shooter Straight Podcast. It's episode 28. I'm your co-host, Zach,
I'm your co-host G.
and welcome back. First and foremost, thanks everyone for all the previous support we've been getting on all of our other previous episodes. Man, we appreciate the support. Y'all been running it up with the likes, the comments, the support on our reels, on our YouTube shorts, everything. We appreciate all the support, and we're going to continue to run it up.
Yeah, we appreciate every single comment, every single interaction we get. We see it all, and we want to see more. We got down there in the description. We have all our links to the Instagram, the Twitter, to the TikTok, everything. We just want to get more connected to you guys.
Exactly. And while you're down there checking out our social medias, hit the subscribe button because we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. We're currently at 328. We appreciate all the support. We're going to continue to run it up.
Absolutely.
G, you ready to get into it?
Ain't no point of wasting time.
Exactly. Like always, man, let's just get straight into it with the NFL. We're going to kick it off with our NFL pick'em. Let's just get straight into it. You ready?
Yes, sir.
NFL, week 11 picks. Let's go.
Let's go.
Titans versus Packers. I got the Packers.
I got the Titans.
Bears versus Falcons. I got the Bears.
I got the Bears.
Eagles versus Colts. I got the Eagles.
I got the Eagles.
Jets versus Patriots. I got the Patriots.
I got the Jets.
Commanders versus Texans. I got the Commanders.
I got the Commanders.
Rams versus Saints. I got the Rams.
I have the Rams.
Browns versus Bills. Got to take the Bills.
Give me the Bills.
Panthers versus Ravens. I got the Ravens.
I got the Ravens too.
Lions versus Giants. I got the Giants.
Giants.
Raiders versus Broncos. I got the Broncos.
I got the Broncos too.
Cowboys versus Vikings. That's going to be a good one. I got the Vikings.
I got the Cowboys.
Bengals versus Steelers. I got the Bengals.
I got the Bengals.
Chiefs versus Chargers. I got the Chiefs.
I got the Chiefs.
49ers versus Cardinals. I got the 49ers.
I got the 49ers as well.
Some interesting picks there. We're going to get into a couple. We're going to get into a couple of those games in depth in a little bit here. But without further ado, let's just get straight into a little bit of a recap of some of the amazing things we saw last week in the NFL.
Possibly get game of the year
I think it's game. I think as of right now, it's definitely game of the year. I mean, I can't think.
I doubt anything beats it. I doubt.
No, I highly doubt it. I mean, in terms of the craziness that went on, everything. Let's actually announce what we're talking about here. The Bills versus Vikings. If you didn't know, potentially the game of the year. I'm going to hand this off to you first, G. I want to get your thoughts and just initial reaction on this game.
It was interesting. Obviously, going into the game, I had the Bills going into it, even though the Vikings have looked impressive. But I thought, running into this I think this was their hardest test. And, they've just continued to prove to everybody what they are. They're the comeback kids. This is what they're known for. They go behind in games, which is obviously, not the best thing, but they show the grit to always come back from it. Even though they're not a very high rated defensive team at all. Mm-hmm. And they're not the greatest offensive. They just find a way to claw back and to come back and to always come back to win. And I think it makes it a lot easier when you arguably have the best wide receiver in the game in Justin Jefferson, where you could have somebody as average as Kirk Cousins, and with that guy out there, you can just throw it to him. It's like you just throw the ball up there and he's out there somewhere. He'll catch it.
Yeah,
and that's
we saw that.
Yeah, and it was a bit disappointing for the Bills because this is kind of almost they've been going through some rough patches of that. They're giving up these leads, and that it's putting people to question Josh Allen.
Yeah. We're gonna get into Josh Allen too. At least I'm gonna get into him specifically here in a little bit here. But before I get on to Josh Allen, I just want to give the Vikings their flowers because like you mentioned, they've been the comeback kids, and obviously that's not necessarily what you want to hang your hat on and being a comeback team and all of that. It's not what you want. You don't want to be losing games and going down at halftime and things of that nature. But to be able to be 8-1, it speaks volumes about this team. I think I expected the Vikings to be a good team this year. I didn't think they were going to be this good. some of the
No,
most impressive
I don't
things.
think anybody expected them to be this good.
No, especially, I mean, to be 8-1. I mean, who would have thought? But
Yeah.
it's one of those things for the Vikings. They're 5-1 in games that they trailed in the fourth quarter. That's just a remarkable stat.
Yeah.
Also, 7-0 in one-score games this season. The last team to be able to go on a 7-game unbeaten streak in one-score games in a single season, the 2009 Colts, who made the Super Bowl. They eventually lost, but they made the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying the Vikings are going to the Super Bowl now all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
but what I will say is that this shows the character of this team. It shows the grit, the determination, and just the quality that they have on both sides of the ball. They might not be the best defensive team in the world, but they do enough to get you in the positions where you need to be. Patrick Peterson had an amazing game. Obviously, the game-stealing interception. He did what he had to do. And that Vikings defense in the second half of that game, they did their thing. Obviously, people look at the score and they gave up 30 points, and it's against the Bills, so you can cut them a little bit of slack. But if you really analyze it, that Vikings defense really did their thing in the second half. So you could tell that they made some adjustments and it worked.
Absolutely, yeah. It's just I don't really understand how the Bills are letting these games get away from them. I'm still like I wouldn't go as far to say that I'm backing down from picking them to go to the Super Bowl, but this is some stuff that's a little concerning. If you're a Bills fan, this is something to be definitely concerned about.
Yeah, I think the Bills, obviously, they definitely have some concerns. For me personally, I just want to touch on we just have seen the Vikings. Obviously, they're 8-1, but going forward for the Vikings, their upcoming schedule, they play the Cowboys this week, which we'll get into in a little bit here. Patriots, Jets, Lions, Colts, Giants, Packers, and Bears. That's a favorable schedule. It's looking as if they could really, I'm not going to say run the table, but I'm saying they might only lose potentially 1 to 2 games out of that stretch. They're going to be looking really good come playoff time. I think at bare minimum, they're going to be a number 2 seed. They could be pushing for the number 1 seed, depending on how the Eagles finish out. And they're going to be fighting for home field advantage and, the bye week. And if they're able to get that, they might just be the team that comes out of the NFC come February for the Super Bowl. So it's going to be interesting. But what?
No, I was just gonna say that I would say that would be their ceiling. Like I wouldn't say they're like gonna make the Super Bowl like you said, but I think there's a good chance that they could get to the get past the first round. Yeah, NFC Championship game.
Yeah, I could see that. I think it's one of those things. The NFC, and I reiterated this before. The NFC seems to me as wide open as a conference has ever been. Literally. You got like the Bucks in there, you got the Seahawks, you got the Giants, the 49ers, the Eagles, but there's no clear cut, like this team is above and beyond far everybody else. It looks as if it's really going to come down to just who gets hot at the right time. And that ultimately, that's kind of how the playoffs work. Who is playing the best football at that moment? And, we're going to get into them in a little bit. It might end up being the Bucks, they've turned the corner potentially.
Yeah.
But I want to go ahead and just give Justin Jefferson his flowers for this game because what a performance it was. 10 receptions.
This was the Justin Jefferson Memorial game.
Oh no, it was. He deserves a statue. Yeah. Get it. Put the statue outside outside the stadium.
Yeah, and I did want to ask you about this because when we first saw the catch in question, you texted me and told me that it was the greatest catch you have ever seen.
Oh no, it is.
Now that you've had a couple of days, do you still believe that?
It's better than the Odell catch. It is. I think it's the greatest catch I've ever seen. And one of the reasons why I think that is because of the scenario that it was in. Obviously, bro, we all know the catch itself is an amazing catch. To have all those defenders around him in that moment, 4th and 18, game on the line, to make that play and keep them in the game. That's it. Like if he doesn't make that catch, which realistically in triple coverage, nobody really is expecting him to make that catch. If he doesn't make that catch, the Bills get the win. Everyone moves on. But he makes the greatest catch of all time. It's just what it is. It's the scenario that the catch was made in, plus the fact that it was just an all-time great catch even without the scenario. The thing about Odell's catch is it was not meaningless, but it was just a catch. It was in like the second quarter or something. It made it 7-3. This was game on the line, and that's why for me it's got to be up there, if not the one.
Okay, yeah, I definitely I wrote down those points exactly what you said, but when I cut it up into how I perceive it as like what's purely the greatest catch, like I take into the scenario just the difficulty of everything. I get that Justin Jefferson's catch was incredible. It was it was very like yeah, it's spectacular. We watched it. Like it's on fourth. If Justin Jefferson does not make this catch, the game is over. It's done.
It's over.
They're losing the ball, and I think the Bills are going to be as poised enough to pull that game out. Odell's catch came in a loss, so that I mean it kind of gets lost, and everybody remembers the catch, but no one remembers who won the game.
No, exactly. Nobody remembers that.
But I think the fact that it was a fully solo, because I think you can't deny of that. Hold on, I wrote down his name. I gotta see. Cam Lewis did have a play in making that catch, because without Cam Lewis's hand there, he's not controlling the ball all the way down. Because I think for how the game was going, Kirk Cousins already had thrown 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
What in hindsight, Cam Lewis should have just punted the ball away. He should have just thrown a fist at it, got it out of there. But the fact that Kirk Cousins had 2 pretty ugly turnovers already, he's thinking, I could catch this ball and this game could be over. So he goes for the catch, and unfortunately, it kind of assists Justin Jefferson in controlling the ball down. And I'm looking at still purely as a catch, and the fact that Odell was still interfered with, like there was pass interference on defense to the catch, and he still was able to control it fully by himself. I still think that's the greatest catch ever, but Justin Jefferson he's definitely gonna have a lot more greater catches.
And that's what I wanted to say. It seems as if for many, many years to come, he's gonna have other candidates for this this award almost per se.
He's gonna have
this is just the beginning. And just speaking of just the beginning, I mean, this particular game, 10 receptions, 193 yards, and a touchdown. So far this season, 69 receptions, 1,060 yards, 15.4 yards per reception, 4 touchdowns. I mean, it's just absolutely unbelievable. This was Justin Jefferson's 20th career game with 100-plus receiving yards and 7th with at least 150, both of which set records for a player in their first 3 seasons. And Justin Jefferson officially joins Randy Moss and Odell as the only 3 players in NFL history with 4K yards in his first 3 seasons. This guy is going to be so dominant for years to come. I mean, the Vikings, they truly have got themselves one. And if he didn't already, if everyone didn't already know who Justin Jefferson was, he's him. He's him. Yeah. Just quite simply, is Justin Jefferson and then everybody else. That's just what it is.
If you don't like I was watching the game as well. The fact that they were putting, they're only basically running him one-on-one, that's disrespectful.
Oh yeah, no.
If you're not running at the minimum a double team on especially in key points, like the fact that it's 4th, I would be putting 5 fucking people.
Who Kirk Cousins is throwing the ball to on the money down, game on the line. Game on the line. Who else is Kirk Cousins throwing to than Justin Jefferson? It just doesn't make sense, If he didn't throw to Justin Jefferson with game on the line, I would be calling out Kirk Cousins right now. That's just the fact of the matter. Is you throw it to your guy when the game is on the line. That's what Kirk Cousins did. To be fair, Kirk Cousins, even with the mistakes he had made in the game, he didn't care about his stats in the game or anything like that. And he just said, I'm trusting my guy Justin Jefferson, and that's it. And he did, and it worked.
It worked, yeah.
The Vikings, they're doing amazing, but and you spoke to it a little bit. I don't know what you were about to say, but I'm just going to say that Kirk Cousins, he's doing all right. I mean, 64.1 completion percentage, 2,356 yards, 14 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He's doing all right. He's doing what he needs to do to get them to an 8-1 record. Obviously, let's give Kirk his flowers, to a certain extent as well.
As far as he was your dark horse MVP, is that looking so bad?
It's really not. I mean, at the end of the day, 8-1 record. And it's not they're winning in spite of him, because there's been some times throughout history when you could say this team is winning in spite of their quarterback play. And there have been some moments when, Kirk makes Kirk plays, but at the end of the day, He's
That
doing what he
second
needs to
interception,
do.
my God, that
No,
was
yeah,
horrible.
there was some bad ones, and that's what you're gonna get out of Kirk Cousins at the end of the day. You're gonna expect some mistakes, but in the second half of that game, it was what we needed from him. It's what they needed.
Okay, and we're talking about the Vikings. I know you had a lot to say about the Bills.
Oh yeah.
So I wanted to ask this question too. Do you think the Bills are overrated?
Look, the fact of the matter is, the Bills are overrated. By definition
Oh,
of the word, the Bills are overrated. The Bills are supposed to be above and beyond everybody else in the AFC. They're supposed to be better than the Chiefs, better than the Dolphins. They're supposed to be that team. And the fact of the matter is, as of right now, they are not that team. And you can blame injuries in the secondary. You can blame whatever you want to blame. The fact of the matter is, they are third place in the AFC East as things stand. And they're supposed to be the best team in the NFL? Then they're the third place in the AFC East right now. Look, and that's not even me getting into the fact that Josh Allen himself is overrated, but I can get into that. But if you're just talking about just the Bills are overrated
we'll get into that in a second. But yeah,
by definition of overrated, they are overrated. Does this mean that I think the Bills are bad? Does this mean I think the Bills are done? No. But by definition of overrated, they are overrated because they're supposed to be above and beyond everybody else, and quite simply, they are not.
So what you saying they're overrated? Would you say they're not Super Bowl contenders anymore?
They're Super Bowl contenders, but that's it. They're contenders, But
I think
and it's not like they're.
I think that's what they've been. To me, they've been like Super Bowl in a way Super Bowl contenders this entire year.
But they're the favorite. There's a difference between being a contender and a favorite. Favorite means that if the Super Bowl is played, they're going to win the Super Bowl. A favorite, they are expected to win the Super Bowl, not just be in contention. There's a lot of teams that are in contention. The Chiefs, the Dolphins, there's a lot of teams in contention. We don't know exactly who's going to pull it out. They've fallen down from the favorite to contender. And that's the difference for me. And that's why they're overrated, because everybody, and I mean everybody, has been saying for the whole season, it's Josh Allen and the Bills and everybody else. They've fallen down. And, it's not the end of the world. It's not ready to go that far, but they are overrated by definition. It's just the facts.
I can somewhat agree with what you're saying, but I think in the way I see it, I can't call a team overrated if they're still in high contention. We're talking about this is still, I think they're in a phase where I think this is the first year that everybody's like said it's the Bills.
I can agree with that. It's definitely the first year. This is the first year of it, but it is a year.
I think this is something that they're still learning as we're going to get into later about Josh Allen, because this team, it can't be misunderstood that it is Josh Allen or bust. This team goes as Josh Allen goes, and that could be a good thing, and that could also be a bad thing. But as far as if they're overrated, it depends, depending on what group you really talk to. But I would not throw them into overrated just yet. That's where I stand on that.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. I can understand your reasoning, because at the end of the day, it's weird to call a Super Bowl contender and I'm still saying they're still a contender, overrated. But for me, and this is just what everyone else was making it out to be, that they were above and beyond the favorite, and you picked them.
Yeah, I mean, in the Super Bowl.
So it's everyone expects them and expected them to be in the Super Bowl.
Which I still do.
Exactly. So anything less than that is not only a failure, but that as this stands right now, if they are taking a step back, that's overrated. Like some people, and they're still going to say that they are the favorite to win the Super Bowl, whatever. But based on what I've been seeing these last couple of weeks, I don't think you can call them the clear runaway favorite. Like it's the Bills or bust. There is a lot of teams.
I would agree with that.
The gap is closer than we thought. And that's just what it is. It is not just the Bills and then everybody else. It's the Bills with the Chiefs, the Dolphins, and a couple other teams. It's tightening, I would say.
Yeah, and this would also a segue into you mentioned that you thought Josh Allen was overrated.
Oh man,
why would you think something that stupid?
Look. I just want to say this. Josh Allen, similar to the Bills, they were the Super Bowl favorites. Josh Allen is not anymore, the MVP favorite for the whole season. Everyone was saying it's Josh Allen. It's his award to lose. He's going to be that guy. Tell me if this is MVP worthy for you. Leading the NFL with 10 interceptions. Is that MVP worthy? He has more interceptions than Davis Mills and Matt Ryan. He's 2-8 in one-score games over the last 2 seasons. 3 touchdowns, 6 interceptions in his last 3 games alone. The Bills, as an overall offense, they rank 17th in the NFL in scoring touchdowns in the red zone at 53.85%. That is not getting it done. He's 0-4 in overtime games throughout his whole career, including 2 in the playoffs. 35 interceptions since 2020. I mean, look, at the end of the day, and this one is the most appalling, only 2 times in the last 10 years has one player lost a fumble on his own 1-yard line. And both of them are Josh Allen. This guy is setting records, but in the wrong way. This guy is so overrated. It's arm strength or bust. It's, oh my God, he's like a linebacker playing quarterback and he can run over you. Oh yeah, he's so cool. When it comes down to it, he is not the most effective quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is better than Josh Allen. He always has been. He always will be. Tua, at the very moment, is playing better than Josh Allen. He is a better quarterback than Josh Allen. Give me Tua. I go by low.
Okay.
Give me Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Josh Allen is overrated.
Don't get carried.
I'm not getting carried away. I'm not getting carried away.
Okay. So are you willing to say full out straight up Josh Allen's not going to make the Pro Bowl at all for this year? He's not making it. You're taking Lamar Jackson. Obviously, I can give you Tua's having a better season right now. So Tua and Patrick Mahomes. So are you going to take Joe Burrow or Lamar over Josh Allen right now?
I'm taking Lamar for sure. And Joe Burrow, honestly, bro, I'm taking Lamar. Joe Burrow, I'm taking Josh Allen over Joe Burrow just because it's close. But I'll lean Josh Allen. But Lamar is being held back by a situation. That's a whole other topic. I mean, if you give Lamar the Buffalo team, oh my God.
Now we're just playing hearsay. That's at the end of the day, that's hearsay. That's not the reality of what this is. But obviously, Josh Allen is okay. So, I guess to you, he's not a top 5 quarterback. Then is he not top 5
at this very moment? Like based on how he's playing it right now, overall, if we're talking about potential and we're talking about everything, talent, he is. But based on how he's playing right now at this very moment, he's in a slump. He is not a top 5 quarterback at this very moment. Now that could change because he could go on a tear from here on in and fix up his play and be the Josh Allen we saw at the beginning of the season. But I'm going to point out the facts that as of right now, these last couple of weeks, he's been the reason this team has been losing games. He cost him the Jets game. He cost him this game against the Vikings. He's the reason they're losing.
I'm not gonna sit here and deny that he's been playing poor, but what I'm not gonna have this revisionist history of that, the fact that this kind of looks similar to what was happening to a little bit to what Patrick Mahomes had last season. You remember those stretches of games where Patrick Mahomes had 7 interceptions in 10 games. That's not normal Patrick Mahomes. And I feel like this is a similar conversation we could have had last year. So, maybe Patrick Mahomes is. I remember the headlines that people were like, maybe the league has just figured out Patrick Mahomes. Maybe that he's trying to outdo, he's trying to out highlight. He wants to be on ESPN highlights all the time. This is stuff people jump to, and I think Josh Allen is still without a doubt top three quarterback in this league, but. He's still a young quarterback. He's 26. You're acting like he's like 30. He's 33. He's already stuck in his ways.
I'm not acting like that.
Yeah, no, you're acting like this is stuff that he can't fix within due time.
We've been talking about. We've been talking about fixing.
This is something
Josh Allen.
He can fix.
Oh,
look, this is the same thing we said about Patrick Mahomes. That would he change? Look, Josh Allen is 26. I think I take him as a smart guy. I think he's a pretty smart guy. He's going to fix. These are things that are fixable These are very fixable things of just Josh Allen. Josh Allen's decision making, his IQ can get lower. But I saw this thread going around that I kind of agreed with. That I think Josh Allen is our modern day Brett Favre. It could be to a point to where Brett Favre, all-time great, but he was known for being all-time reckless.
Yeah,
sometimes
100%.
He did a lot of things.
The difference between the two, and I'm not saying this won't change. Brett Favre, and he has championships to back it up. Playoff success.
Yes.
Josh Allen has the exact opposite of playoff success. He's still.
That's what I'm saying.
Patrick Mahomes owns him. Patrick Mahomes owns Josh Allen. It's just the facts, and it will remain to be like that.
To a coin flip.
He owns him until
they had to change the rule just for Josh Allen so he can get his shot.
Well, hey, he had a shot against Minnesota, right?
He's still a young quarterback. He's learning. I'm going to give the fact that he still, these are things he can change. I'm not completely writing it off, but it's pretty comparable to the fact that I think I did agree with how he's being compared to Brett Favre, and that maybe his recklessness plays a lot into his greatness, but I do think that's something he will fix in time. And I think, maybe he'll learn just to have a little bit of higher IQ, not try to throw it through two Vikings defenders, forcing it to Gabe Davis in the red zone. Because a lot of stuff he's doing is like cardinal sins. You can't turn it over in the red zone.
And not only just turning it over, but they're ineffective. Even when they don't turn it over, they don't score enough touchdowns.
But you do have to. The Bills only get to that situation. They only get to the situation in the red zone because of Josh Allen. Josh Allen leads them in rushing. He's 24 touchdowns of their 28. This team is like I said, led by Josh Allen.
100%.
Weirdly enough, they get to the positions to almost win because of Josh Allen, and then 100%. They lose sometimes because of Josh Allen.
Yeah, you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
You die by the sword. But I'm not gonna jump to the conclusion that to say, I'm just gonna chop him off. He's this overrated guy that everybody should never be. He can't hold a candle to Patrick Mahomes. He's not Patrick Mahomes.
He could change. He could fix it up. But the fact of the matter is, as of right now, as of recording,
these were things I was reading about Patrick Mahomes last season. So I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh yeah, Josh Allen, they figured it out. He's just some linebacker that's playing quarterback.
As of right now, Josh Allen, he's playing fraudulent these last couple of weeks. This system is, and we've seen the Josh Allen regression, and I attest a lot of this to the genius of Brian Daboll. Obviously now the New York Giants head coach, Josh Allen, this regression might be associated to that. Brian Daboll was able to, scheme up Josh Allen a way to eliminate these mistakes, and now we're seeing some of that old Josh Allen coming out of college come back, where he's trying to squeeze it into windows he can't make it into, even though he thinks he can, and he's trying to do a little bit too much. And there was a point last season when people were saying Patrick Mahomes was doing too much, and we saw this season it changed. Obviously, next season Josh Allen might have a full off season. He's going to work on some things. If he doesn't take another leap, it's an issue. But the fact of the matter is, right now, Josh Allen, he's not doing what he needs to do in order to get this team to where they need to go, which ultimately is the Super Bowl. Right now, I can't see them making it because if they continue to drop games, the Chiefs, they look like a well-oiled machine right now. And they're forcing themselves as of right now to have to go to Arrowhead in the playoffs and beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead. And we have seen they cannot do it. They haven't been able to do it yet. If they kept up that first half of the season performance, it would have been the other way around. Kansas City headed to Buffalo in the playoffs. Snowy would have been a disaster for Patrick Mahomes, but they bottled it, and I don't see it being recoverable at this point unless if the Chiefs start going on a run and they start skidding. Then that's going to be a whole other topic on this show because I don't see it happening. That would be absolutely mind-boggling. It's not going to happen at the end of the day. I think Josh Allen has a good chance to rebound, this week, because they play the Browns. Ultimately, I'm seeing reports that this game is going to have up to 6 feet of snow. 6 feet. And so, I say he has a good chance to rebound, but I don't know how well any quarterback can rebound in 6 feet of snow in terms of throwing the ball. But I think he's just going to be able to run the ball. I'd be shocked if they lose this game. But if they do lose this game, it is time to full on hit the panic button with the Buffalo Bills. If they lose this game as well, that'd be a 3-game losing streak. It'd be full on panic mode. Full on panic mode, because that's 2 losses. Look, I'll give you the Vikings. They're a good team. But that would include 2 losses to the Jets, and they're not a bad team, but you lost to Zach Wilson. Enough said.
Stop the Zach Wilson slander.
And then you lose to the Browns with Jacoby Brissett. If it happens, it would be time to hit the panic button. But I don't expect that to happen. I think that Josh Allen is going to be motivated. I think he's going to rebound. I would say. I would be shocked if he doesn't.
No, I would say the same. I think they're going to win the next game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think it's going to be comfortable. I think they'll get by. They'll get by.
Yeah.
The Browns aren't bad.
They're not a bad team, but we did just see the Dolphins take care of business against them handily.
Yeah, so it's a nice little measuring stick.
It's not like they're playing the Texans where it's like, okay, they're just they're playing a solid team. They're solid. I'll give them that. They're solid. Yeah, the Broncos.
The Broncos.
So we've had our time speaking on the Bills. Before we move on to the next one, because that's the whole, let's go. I'm ready for that. But back to the Vikings real quick. We're going to talk about this team in a second. Their opponent next week, or this week technically.
Mm-hmm.
Can the Vikings make a statement win and really cement themselves against the Cowboys? Obviously, I think you picked the Cowboys. I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
I think coming into this game, the Cowboys coming off a loss to the Packers.
We'll get into their loss in a second.
Yeah, they're going to get into more of the loss. Touching on the fact that I wait to the fact that I don't think the Cowboys are going to lose 2 straight games compared to the chances of the Vikings extending this winning streak. I think the chances are a little bit more into the Cowboys' favor, in my opinion. That's why Vegas has them as favorites going into the game. And I think that this team's going to be looking at this as a bounce back. I think they're going to be taking this game a lot more seriously. That, you're playing a team that's 8-1, and the the Cowboys are going to be looking at this at a real chance. They want to try and make a statement. Micah and the Marauders are going to want to try and make a statement, because we can't forget that, Green Bay did well against the Cowboys defense, which we haven't seen a lot of teams do. That Cowboys defense is still top 2 in the league. It can get at your quarterback and they can lock down, but it's more of the fact that their offense is just not clicking. That's a whole different thing we're probably going to get into a little later.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if I had to choose, I got the Cowboys in a bounce back.
Yeah. I could see that happening. I don't think we're going to see, and we're going to talk about Dak Prescott probably in a second here. I don't see Dak Prescott potentially having back-to-back just quite as bad games as we just saw, ultimately. But, I took the Vikings, and, I think it's time that we take the Vikings 100% serious. They just beat the Buffalo Bills, obviously, and, this is going to be in Minnesota. That helps also. But, for the reasons we've already touched on, although the Cowboys got Travion Diggs, who's probably going to be guarding Justin Jefferson. I'm still taking Justin Jefferson against any corner in the league.
Oh, gee, bro.
And
God.
And I trust Kirk Cousins, and I have a lot more faith and trust in this defense. As of right now, I'm not going to say the Vikings defense is anything special or top in the league like the Cowboys, but I have trust in them.
Statistically, they aren't a good defense. Statistically, they're not a good defense. They're just dogs. If they're able to get it close, defense will play up to par to get them home.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things when you take into the account that Kirk Cousins, he's playing good enough to get wins. Dalvin Cook, he had that 85-yard touchdown one. What was it against the Bills? One something like that. They're doing good on.
Yeah, he was cooking the cook-off.
Yeah. No, they're executing on all cylinders right now. It's just one of those things. They are. It seems as if they're just a well-oiled machine, and I'd be surprised if I'm not necessarily surprised, but I expect the Vikings to be able to get this win.
Yeah, which I think it's going to be a very close game. It might come down to like a winning field goal. I believe.
Yeah. So you ready to get into
what we got next? Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, you ready to get into the team we just talked about, the Cowboys, and obviously how the NFL world was shocked by the results of Cowboys versus Packers.
This is a big game. Yeah, I actually saw that it was actually the most watched game of the season so far, which is kind of surprising because but what it's the Cowboys are the most box office thing, even though they're not the best team in the league. They know how to bring people to watch games.
No, it's one of those things. Everyone wants to watch the Cowboys, and I think a lot of people, they got eyes on the Packers, right now, because before this game, we saw kind of they weren't on the right track. Obviously, we talked about it before. We didn't think they had any chance of making the playoffs. I'm going to get into that in a second here, but I'll go ahead and give this one to you first here. Once again, to get your just initial thoughts on the game in general, because you obviously everyone had the Cowboys.
Yeah. And coming off even Green Bay's loss to the Lions, it kind of looked like almost like a no-brainer, but I had a sneaking feeling that just because it's the Cowboys and it's Aaron Rodgers, they play up the level because it's hard to get up for the Detroit Lions. Like I don't think they have that one circled. I feel like this is one of those games. A lot of teams in the league circle when they play the Cowboys because that's where they want to make their move and that's where they want to prove themselves. And I think Aaron Rodgers took a good little. He chose a good day to show up, and he definitely did not look as bad as he did it when he played Detroit. And it was one of those Cowboys let them down. They did not play normally how well they did. Micah Parsons basically didn't look like he wasn't there. I looked at the TV, I couldn't find him, and just another Dak Prescott is just like I don't know what's going on with him. He just does not look like that same guy. He does not look like the guy that we could say is easily top 10. It's like it's debated. It's hard for me to even put him in the top 10 because he's been playing very poor. He's just, even the receivers are messing up routes. Like I think most of it comes down to the fact that, it's like weird compared to last season. The Cowboys, they did pretty well last season. Their defense was good and their offense was pretty good. But going into this next season, losing Amari, and
that was a big loss.
That's a bigger loss than what people are realizing now.
Yeah.
Because putting CD Lamb as that one, CD Lamb is not a one. I don't know.
Well, I don't know what point exactly you're about to make, but let's not act like CD Lamb didn't have a phenomenal game.
He had a great game, but CD Lamb, this is why even after that he had a great game. Dak's calling him out after that. They're messing up routes. Yeah. And from this season, we can't act like, CD Lamb's been great this entire season. He hasn't been. Sometimes he'll have really good games, and then other games you're like, where's number 88? You forget that he's on there. And not to mention that they're in receiver, they don't have very deep. Like Gallup always seems to get hurt every time I watch it. Yeah, he's always trying to. The commentators are like, "Oh, Gallup's playing through an injury." It's like, dude, when is he not playing through a damn injury, man? Like Jesus. No. And and they didn't want to pay Amari Cooper his money to stay. They thought Jerry Jones is like, I don't want to pay this much for this guy. And they decided to offload him. It's good that their defense got, I think, steps better, but their offense, backed up. And now Dak is also looked like he's taken almost a step back in what he normally is. And it's a bit frustrating,
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. We see the number one Cowboys lover, Skip Bayless claiming for Cooper Rush to come back in.
Cooper Rush to come back.
It's getting bad out here for the Cowboys.
I miss Cooper Rush.
Yeah, I miss Cooper Rush. It's one of those things. It's disappointing because I thought once Dak came back, we were going to see a different Cowboys team, because they were already doing well, surprising a lot of people based on just how good they were doing with Cooper Rush. And now, okay, they were already doing good, and now you got Dak Prescott coming back into the fold. I think the expectations were not necessarily to the moon, but they were up there. Mm-hmm. And, they just haven't met those expectations. And, I know it was his homecoming, and it was, Mike McCarthy, woo, you're a legend, blah, blah, blah. I'm putting a lot of this blame. Obviously, you give some of the blame to Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, whoever. Mm-hmm. I'm putting a lot of this blame on Mike McCarthy. At the end of the day, this team, although they had the lead throughout most of the game, the Cowboys are coming off of a bye. You cannot lose coming off to the bye. They had hella time to prepare for this. They knew they had all this time in the world to prepare for Aaron Rodgers. And it's not quite the old Aaron Rodgers where it's like, well, you can do all the preparation you want.
Yeah, and
it's Aaron Rodgers. But this ain't the old Aaron Rodgers, necessarily. But they made him look like it. This looked like vintage Aaron Rodgers.
Vintage Aaron Rodgers. The Aaron Rodgers Memorial.
He turned back the clock when he was winning back-to-back MVPs just 2 years, a year ago and 2 years ago. Yeah, exactly. But it's inexcusable to lose in the way that they did to a team coming. Look, they're coming off the bye, and the Packers, they've lost 5 in a row. Before this, they'd lost 5 in a row. You cannot lose this game. And what makes it worse, on top of all that, they blew a 14-point fourth quarter lead. It's just absolutely terrible.
Can't do it.
There's nothing else you can say besides the fact that this is the same old Cowboys. It's the same old Cowboys. They're a solid team. They're decent. They're going to make the playoffs, but they are not doing anything further than that. And if anyone expected it just get your expectations down. It's not happening. It's just not happening. They messed up getting rid of Amari Cooper in the way that they did, basically for pennies on the dollar.
What was it again? Like a sixth-round pick?
They give him away. What's the last, bro? I can't even remember like a 6th-round pick. Like Amari Cooper is up there. And you're giving away a 6th-round pick for him. Like, oh my God. The Browns got to steal, but that's besides the point. The Cowboys, they are not doing anything as long as Mike McCarthy is the head coach. And that could be if they want to keep him next season. Hey, more power to Jerry Jones. But if you keep Mike McCarthy, you are confirming you are not even coming close to winning a championship. And that's just what it is at the end of the day. We see it time and time again. Notorious chokers. It's just what it is with the Cowboys.
It's unfortunately. And I think a lot of it came down to the fact that even the big overtime thing where he said he decided on second down of that play that they were going to go for it, that they were going to go for it on fourth. I don't understand.
But it doesn't even make sense.
I don't understand why you just don't take the field goal, because you're acting like you don't trust your defense.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
You don't trust this defense to get a stop. I get they haven't been playing good, but if I were one of those, I would be feeling a certain way, because I get like going 100%. For it, but you have to like. And even when Mike McCarthy after that, he was like trying to tell all the statistics of like going for and stuff like, oh, the game was running away from us. It's like Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, his QBR going for on fourth is the worst QBR in NFL. No, second worst QBR. Funny enough, the person with the worst QBR on fourth down is Tim Tebow. He has the worst QBR. But Dak on fourth down is about as bad as you can get.
Yeah.
Just take your field goal and let Micah and the Marauders take a shot. Let them have a chance to stop it, because no matter what, you just let Aaron Rodgers basically waltz his way down there and beat you.
Yeah.
It's just I don't really understand, and it's the same reason that I just don't. Mike McCarthy is not that guy.
He's not.
He's not going to lead you to Super Bowl. He's just doesn't have it.
There's a reason why Green Bay got rid of him, so that they could get Mike LaFleur, so that they could try to make a Super Bowl, which they still haven't been able to do. But you get Cowboys, bro. They haven't been since the 80s or whatever, bro. And they said, you know what? This guy right here, he failed with Green Bay. He failed with arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But you know what?
We're going to give him Dak Prescott.
This is this guy. We need him. It doesn't make any sense. Look, I don't care if Aaron Rodgers has scored 500 straight points against you and they have every single drop of momentum. You have arguably the best defense in the NFL. You take your points and you move forward and you trust them. Doing what you did, like once the Cowboys missed on 4th down, it was over. It was over. Although, you could make the point like, oh, well, if the Cowboys defense is so good, they should have stopped them right there. It don't work like that.
Yeah, no.
You're talking about having the ball on the 25-yard line compared to where they got it. It's not how this game works. Look, I know the Packers have been dicing him up. He's looking like vintage Aaron Rodgers. If they take their points, they make that field goal, and then
it's a whole different mentality on
kick it off.
Side. Yeah,
they kick it off at the bare minimum. They could get the ball back, and because Green Bay kicks a field goal, like you can't just let Aaron Rodgers waltz the ball down there. All he needs is a field goal. So pretty much, it's how we saw it with the Vikings.
You're at his mercy.
You know how easy it is to get into field goal range at the end of the day. It's not. I mean, I'm not saying it's the easiest thing in the world, but it's pretty damn easy. If you make them get a touchdown to win. And Aaron Rodgers dices you and you get a touchdown, and you hold your hands up and you say, hey, at the end of the day, Aaron Rodgers did what he did. But you basically didn't even give yourself a chance. You had no hope. It's pathetic. And it's once again bad coaching from Mike McCarthy. How many times do I have to say it? Just bad coaching.
It's not good. Cowboys. Cowboys.
We can sit here and argue about, not even argue, just talk about how bad the Cowboys are and how they're going to continue to choke and everything like that. But let's go ahead and give the Packers their flowers for being able to do what they did in this game. For me personally, nobody expected it. What were you saying?
Yeah. I think this is something that they definitely needed, but no one thought that they could pull off.
No, 100%.
I'm not gonna act like that the Packers haven't been, really bad, and I still don't have them making the playoffs, even after this impressive win like this. Like, their schedule left, it's pretty fucking difficult, even with the Cowboys out of the way. I think I have it right. Let me see this shit, bro. Who do they have to play, dude?
I got it.
Okay. Who do you got? Yeah, you got it in front of you.
The Packers schedule, they played the Titans, obviously, this week, the Eagles, the Bears, the Rams, the Dolphins, the Vikings, and the Lions.
From those names you just named out, I can really only see them winning 2 of those games. Yeah, I can only see them beating. Yeah, they can maybe get revenge on the Lions and the Bears.
Not even the Rams?
No, I don't think they beat the Rams.
Well, I don't think so. I could see them. I mean, look, I think they're gonna ride.
Maybe, but from how I see it and how from what it could, how good I see them going, finishing off with 6-11 for the season.
Realistically for me, seeing that schedule, I think that they're going to ride the momentum against a Tennessee team that, let's just be honest, we're going to see it tomorrow how it plays out exactly, but Tennessee, they're a pretty
good defensive. Yeah,
they're a good defensive team, but they're you don't have to score a lot of points to beat them. It's going to be a defensive battle. If Tennessee goes out tomorrow and lights it up, and I'll hold my hands up and say, hey,
you know what, got it wrong.
But I don't necessarily see it happening. I think riding the momentum, and obviously for reasons that the same reasons kind of how they were able to execute against the Cowboys. I think I would expect Christian Watson to have a great game. Obviously against the Cowboys, he absolutely torched them, lit them up. 4 receptions, led the team. 107 yards, led the team. 3 touchdowns, obviously led the team. I don't think you can expect 3 touchdowns from here on in every single week, but they finally found somebody for Aaron Rodgers to throw the ball to. It's about time. They got somebody. It is about time. So thank God for that. Make a play. But so I could expect them to. It'll be a dog fight tomorrow. I'll give them the edge. That's 1 win. The Eagles, I'm not giving them that. The Bears will be tough because I respect what the Bears have been doing. They've been getting in dog fights, but they did just lose to the Lions. Obviously the Packers have as well. But Justin Fields is doing his thing. That'll be a toss-up, I would say. But give me the Packers because at the end of the day, it's Aaron Rodgers. And He owns the NFC North.
He owns the Bears. I mean, realistically.
I'm surprised you think the Ravens will beat the Rams. I mean, because the Rams are not a good football team.
I think. Well, I mean, they're both not good football teams. I mean, it might be.
They might not even be having Cooper Kupp for that game.
That's the only thing that I can think of, that if Cooper Kupp will be back by then, I could see it. But even still, I think the Rams would get up to play the Packers. Yeah, I think they could edge one out. I don't think it's gonna be a pretty game. I think it's gonna be a pretty fucking ugly game. It's gonna be atrocious, like Bucks Rams. But I think that the Rams could squeeze it out.
And then obviously the Dolphins is gonna be a really tough game. I would expect the Dolphins to win that game.
I would expect the Dolphins to win.
The Vikings, it's once again the NFC North. Anything can happen. It's Aaron Rodgers. He could get up for that game, but I would expect the Vikings to win once again. And then the Lions, I would expect the Packers to be able to win.
Revenge.
1, 2, 3, 4. I could expect them to get 4 wins out of that remaining schedule. Is that going to be enough to get them into the playoffs? I don't know. It depends on how it all plays out. They've dug themselves such a hole that 4 wins might not be enough.
Yeah.
But I can expect them to maybe get those 4 wins. But I will say, if they are not able to pull it off tomorrow against the Tennessee Titans, it'll be over for them 100%. Yeah, no. Even though
they need this game.
They need this game. And that's what I think this Packers team knows, that it's back to the wall from here on in. Every game, their playoffs started last week. The Cowboys was their first official playoff game pretty much, because they need pretty much every game going forward. They can afford to lose maybe 2. They've won their first playoff game pretty much, if you want to look at it like that, against the Cowboys. They're going to have to win another one against a damn good Titans team. And then they're going to have to continue to run the table as much as possible. I wouldn't expect them to beat the Eagles and the Vikings and the Dolphins, but besides that, they have to run the table and then see what else happens.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be interesting to see how the NFC all plays out. It'll be tough. I don't know exactly how it's all going to play out, but it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What we got next? What we got next?
Yeah,
I think that was all the points I got with the Cowboys and the Packers.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good with that. So then, and I've been handing it off to you pretty much in every single one, but I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again on this one because I have to.
Look,
the Bucks. They and them and the Seahawks played the first ever NFL game in Munich, Germany. First of all, before we get into the game itself, it was pretty cool to see. Germany has one of the best atmospheres in the world. They played it in the Allianz Arena, I believe, which is Bayern Munich Stadium. And it was a beautiful atmosphere. It was a great game. And I saw the clip that went viral after the game, Tom Brady doing his post-game interview, and those German fans are like they do in soccer or football, European football. But they stayed in the stadium for I don't know exactly how long after the game, but they were sitting there and no one had left the crowd, and they're chanting and they're singing like they do for soccer.
Yeah,
and it was beautiful to see. It's
a completely different.
It's completely different. It's cool. And before I hand this off to you, I will say, and you might have potentially have said this, but it was cool to see, even though I don't like the guy, Tom Brady becomes the first quarterback to win in 4 different countries. That's pretty damn cool. That's pretty damn cool.
The GOAT does what GOAT does.
Yeah, I give him that. But, I'll go ahead and pass this one off to you. Just your thoughts on this game, kind of as a Bucks fan.
My Super Bowl pick is alive. We are still alive. I told you this when we watched the last possession in the Rams-Bucks game. God. If they pull this off, that it could catapult this team just the same way they did the first year that they were assembled. And now, they went to Munich and they played what a lot of people are saying is a hot fire Seahawks team with a guy that is a real actual dark horse for maybe Geno Smith. And this is a legit team, the Seahawks. They've been playing well, and we finally saw the Bucks run the fucking football effectively, because that was really a stranglehold on them that they kept on just trying to give it to Leonard Fournette. Hopefully, Leonard Fournette was basically like, I remember towards the Rams game, he had like negative yardage, and at a certain point, he had negative yards.
No, it was getting bad.
And they were finally able to switch it up, and I had to get my boy's name. I always forget his damn name.
What is it? White? Rashad White? You talking about?
Right, yeah, Rashad White. So Rashad White, he got a $105 in rushing, and combining with Leonard Fournette, he got 54. They both basically combined for 160 yards rushing. That'll win you games. That enough will win you games. And the fact that people now, the Seahawks had to respect the run. It gets the receivers just a little more wide open, because even against the the Rams, seven interceptions, not interceptions, but seven throws dropped by Brady's receivers. Mm-hmm. That's not going to be consistently what's going to happen. But now they're starting to get it a little bit. They're starting to catch it, and this is what I thought could happen after they pull out such an ugly game that was the Rams and Bucks. But the fact they were able to pull it out of the fire, and now they went to Munich and got a win against a pretty good Seahawks team. I told you, I would not be surprised if they don't lose another game. I would not be surprised. That this is what this team is built on. It's built on the belief of that we have that one guy. We have the guy. And to add to the fact, Tom Brady is now 2-0 after being divorced. This is what we've wanted and we've been waiting for. Since he's been officially divorced, 2-0 undefeated. He's back.
Yeah, initially, I'll say, first of all, the Bucks' upcoming schedule, to your point, I just want to get your thoughts on this, and I'll give my thoughts, but then I'm going to give my thoughts on the game. But
yeah,
the Bucks' upcoming schedule, they got the Browns, the Saints, the 49ers, the Bengals, the Cardinals, the Panthers, and the Falcons. I'm going to just go ahead and say, this is an easy-ass schedule. At the end of the day, this schedule is ass.
Other than the Saints that have always been in trouble for Tom, it's pretty. Yeah, it's definitely,
I respect the 49ers. Impossible. I respect the 49ers more than the Saints.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about more like matchup-wise.
No, I would say obviously the Saints typically own the Bucks per se, so that'll be one. No, that's going to be a tough one.
Tom Brady for a sense. They've always played well against Tom.
Pretty much. For me, the Saints, they're not realistically, they've been playing bad. I would be, besides the fact that they own them and they own Brady, I expect the Bucks to win that game. The only real difficult games I'm counting here is the 49ers and the Bengals, and I think that they have a chance to win both of those games. They probably have a better chance at the Bengals than they do the 49ers. But all things considered, this is an easy-ass schedule. So to your point, they might not lose another game. They might not. But does that mean that they could be going into the playoffs potentially on a however long winning streak? Well, I don't know what that would be. And potentially 9-game winning streak. Does this all of a sudden mean the Bucks are going to be contenders? No, the Bucks are not contenders. They are not. There are still fundamental issues with this football team. And sure, they were always going to make the playoffs because they were better than every other team in the sorry NFC South, the worst division in football. They were always going to make the playoffs. They might win a playoff game, but they are not winning the Super Bowl. They are not contenders. There are still fundamental issues with this football team. And one game of them being able to rush the ball effectively does not prove for me that they're going to be good long-term with it. They're going to have to sustain this, improve it. In my opinion, might change. I might hold my hands up and say, no, they are technically contenders. But as of right now, I'm not just going to fully buy in, because let's be honest. They won against a trash Rams team, which took the last second. And you were there. I saw how mad you were because of how bad the Bucks were. And all of a sudden, they with 40 seconds left, they get the ball back and they're able to get the touchdown.
That's all they needed.
I hold my hands up and say, that's a good result for them. But let's not act like they played good in that game. They played a good game against the Seahawks. I'll give them that. But I'm not ready to go, oh, my God, the Bucks are back. They are making the Super Bowl. They're contenders. No. Let's not get it twisted here. I'm taking a few other teams here in the NFC before I'm even thinking about the Bucks. Give me the 49ers over them. Give me the Eagles over them. Give me the Vikings over them. That's just what it is. You don't want to bet against the GOAT, but I'm not 100% convinced. I'm not 100% convinced, out of this moment.
Okay.
But I would say one thing that is a little bit worrisome, for me, that I might have to bite my tongue, on what I've said. It looks as if, and I'll get your thoughts on this. It looks as if Julio Jones has turned a corner, and it looks like he's not quite, old Julio Jones or whatever.
He's not old Julio.
But he's looking effective, and he's able to do his thing. I don't have the stats exactly here, but
he had a couple of good catches, and Brady was finding him, and that's another thing coming off that, going back to the Rams game. God, did he look every bit of washed that versus the Rams? He just looked putrid. But then again, I don't expect much from Julio. It's kind of like one of those, it's an X factor that if Julio just so happens to show up, you have Julio Jones. But
that was, I would say, a main reason why they were able to pull this off against the Seahawks was because Julio Jones showed up.
Yeah, like it's definitely
if he's going to remain consistent, or at least somewhat consistent like this, he doesn't have to quite be as good as he was on Sunday. But if he's somewhat like this, the Bucs might have a case here.
Yeah. And I think this is one of the, I believe it was one of the first games they've had Cameron Brate back, and I think it's either Cameron Brate that he came back this game or against the Rams. I'm not 100% sure, but I know that Cameron Brate did play well in this game, and it gives them a little bit more because it's better than I get they're running a rookie at tight end when Brate's out, but Cameron Brate is no bum.
No, he's not.
He's pretty decent. That's another thing to give. He's not Gronk, but it's something different to give Tom, because Tom loves his tight ends.
Oh no, he does. That's what he's not made his career on, but he kind of has in a sense.
Yeah, in a sense of having one of the greatest ones of all time. But having that, just adding more dimensions to this offense, because at a point this offense looks so one dimensional. Three and out. Can't run a lick. Tom Brady's throwing the ball 50 damn times. It's like it's shit you got to go back to this old style football where, you're handing the ball, you're running the ball, switching it up, not only making Leonard Fournette the only fucking guy running the ball. Cause that's, Leonard Fournette's pretty good, but as your go-to, always go to him, that's not going to work.
No, not anymore. No. He's not that, but they finally have gotten, that Rachaad White fully involved, and if they're able to really keep that duo going with, make it more of a duo, similar to Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, like the Cowboys have, then the Bucs, they might be a little bit more going forward.
They'll definitely, a little definitely free up some space, because that was, weirdly enough, it either plays into it, plays not to play into like how good your offense can be, because a lot of times the Bucs were getting, we saw Mike Evans and Chris Godwin just like be ineffective for so many games in the season, just because teams didn't respect the run.
Yeah,
because they're like, we're just gonna have all our guys, focus on your receivers, because you're just gonna throw the damn ball. You're not running it because you guys can't run.
The problems with the Bucs was running on the offense. They can run, but then they couldn't stop the run, and they kind of in a sense were able to not necessarily 100% fix both of those problems, because to fix the problem, it has to be consistent. We'll see next game. We'll see going forward how it looks. But the Seahawks, they got a rookie of the year candidate, currently at running back, and they were able to hold him to Kenneth Walker Jr. They were able to hold him to relatively, a quiet game, all things considered. So you have to give them credit where credit is due, but going forward, I'm not ready to say anything crazy, like they're back. The old Bucs are back.
We will see. But on to the next thing that we had up, a pretty surprising one that at first this was not even on our radar to even talk about.
No, why would
it? The Eagles get their first loss of the season to the Washington Commanders, of all teams. And, in hindsight, now you look back at it, it kind of makes sense. But I do want to pass this off to you, because, you were the one that fully wanted to go more into this. So
Yeah.
what did you take away from that game?
From my takeaways from this game, the Commanders, they had the perfect game plan. You have to give credit to Ron Rivera where credit is due. The entire game, they were able to possess the ball. Their tactic was, let's keep the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands as much as possible. Let's keep him on the sideline. Let's run the ball. Let's make long, sustained drives. And that's what they were able to do. The Eagles, they started off the game well, scoring touchdowns, but then pretty much the Commanders, they won the time of possession battle handily.
Dude, it was the Commanders had the ball 40 minutes to the Eagles 20 minutes.
And that's a recipe for success.
Yeah. And let alone that the Commanders ran 34 more plays than the Eagles. You're not winning. And to the fact that the Eagles changed, I don't know what went through what was going on. I wish I was, like a little fly around what was going on, to the fact that Eagles are a rushing team. They're a running football team. And I saw towards the beginning of the game, AJ Brown looked like he got nicked or something, that he just looked a little like a hick in his giddy up. Yeah, hick, and your best receiver gets hurt, and they decide, you know what? He gets hurt. Let's just have Jalen Hurts throw the ball more. That's literally counterintuitive of what's just happened.
Yeah.
So you only attempt four run plays in the entire first half. The fact that you couldn't run the football and you let the Commanders run all over you, you're gonna lose.
You're gonna lose games.
That's just the biggest thing. That it's just like, it's mind-boggling. And the Eagles, them going so long undefeated, people forgot that they can't really stop the run. They're not the greatest defensive team to stop the run.
No.
And now that this is kind of, I feel like a lot of teams that saw this game are like, we're better than the Commanders. We can run better than Commanders.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things. I'm not gonna like sit here and say, oh yeah, the Eagles just got exposed. This is like they're not gonna be as good, because I didn't really, they impressed me, but then again, I'm not here saying like they're going to the Super Bowl. But this is, if you're an Eagles fan, it's somewhat concerning that the Commanders were the ones to basically beat you handily, like 40 to 20 minutes. That's not good.
No, in the first half, it was just like shocking, and I, expected some kind of adjustments per se. And it's one of those things after the first half that I saw, and I was like, oh my God, the Commanders, they're winning this time of possession battle. They're just running all over them. And there are long sustained drives. I expected some kind of a switch. And, what made me because at the end of the day, in the back of my head, I was always thinking the Eagles are going to pull this one out. They're going to pull this one out. They're going to find a way. It's what winners do. But they came out, the Eagles did, instant 3-and-out. And I said, okay,
that's not good.
This might not be what I expected here. And then from here on in, I got to give 100% credit to Taylor Heinicke. He was the backup to Carson Wentz. He's that guy. Officially now he's the starter, going forward. And he deserves it. He had a great game. He's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. He's a backup. But the team loves to play for him. He has the heart. He has the grit, his mentality, all of that. This team, if Taylor Heinicke is under center, the Commanders, they just play better. It's just something about him. He's got the aura. He's just something. And also, when you mix that with Ron Rivera, who he's just a legend in the coaching game, he is going to be able to scheme up a game plan that is going to be able to win football games. And that's what he did, and the Eagles, they just weren't able to make the adjustments. And, ultimately that's what led to their demise in this game. I'm not ready to hit the panic button though, or anything like that. No. The Eagles, they're still going to be a good football team. It was inevitable they were going to lose.
Yeah, they're not going undefeated. They're gonna drop some game.
I saw AJ Brown say in the post-game press conference, I'm glad that the whole undefeated talk is over so that we can just focus on football now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the things you see a lot of teams say that before, many times if they get to this Eagles point when they're 8-0, everyone's talking about them being undefeated. The talk gets a little bit too much.
Mm-hmm.
He's happy that it's over. Jason Kelce with the center, he wasn't too happy about it. He says, you want to win every game. I don't know exactly what AJ Brown's talking about. that's neither here nor there. The end of the day, it's just a surprising result, but you got to give credit to the Commanders because nobody really expected it.
Yeah.
Everyone had it. They
Yeah.
wrote them off, but they ain't right back though.
Absolutely. Yeah. They wrote back. Dude, especially the commander, because the commanders haven't been like anything special, but like I still think, they have a good core. Like they're still a good
No,
football team.
and
There's not like a lot of teams in this league that are just completely like, oh, they're fucking garbage. They're so
yeah,
bad. Like a lot of teams on their day, they almost every team in this league on their day
can
they can
beat
beat
anyone.
anybody.
Yeah, the
And
Commanders, they have great players. They have Terry McLaurin, and they did all this, and they were able to hold the Eagles, stellar offense without their best defensive player who's been injured, Chase Young.
mhm.
People forget how dominant this guy is when he's healthy, and they haven't had him for the whole season. He's expected to be coming back, I think, this week or next, but I'm not over here saying the Commanders are, whatever. Like they're the Commanders, but they're solid. They got solid players.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can sympathize with AJ Brown's even saying like the whole like it's the same thing even when it comes to like undefeated boxers or undefeated fighters. Soon as that entire aura, the pressure of like people expecting oh we just keep winning. We always have to win. It's like soon as you okay yeah we lost and we're still us. We're still here.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good and a bad thing. Obviously, you want to win every fucking game, but realistically, you're just not gonna win every
It's not
game.
gonna
You have to be
happen.
you have to be realistic. You can't be like you know.
If the
we're
2007
gonna-
Patriots can do it,
yeah, and that's another thing even plays into that. Like the pressure that are on these players that like we just got one more to go to finish. Like you know, I think it's not a huge deal. I think this doesn't change my idea of the Eagles
no,
that much, other than the fact that you can get on them, you can get at them,
yeah, some
if you
things were
if you run the
exposed.
ball. Yeah.
I wanted to get your thoughts, because one of the biggest things that's being made out after this game is that the Dallas Goddard missed face mask call and all of that. Do you got, because a lot of people are saying, oh
Yeah,
well,
that it's
if that face mask gets called, the whole landscape of the game changes. And in a sense, it does. Jason Kelsey immediately went on his podcast and denounced that, saying he hates it when people blame the ref. The
mhm.
Eagle, he said, us, the Eagles, they blew it.
They
They had
shouldn't have
chances to win that game.
they shouldn't have allowed it to get to that point, realistically.
Exactly. That's the
I
point he
get
was
I get
making as well.
it's a horrible call and it should have been called, but like it still doesn't defend the fact that they couldn't stop the run and just it's a bigger problem that even the play calling was not fit for them. It's like, Jalen Hurts, he's pretty good at throwing the ball, but like
He's a dual
you
threat, and
don't
they didn't get him
you
on the
know
run.
you got to mix it up. You just can't have him. He just recently got pretty. Starting to get the recognition for being pretty good at throwing the ball, but that's not what he's known for. The Eagles are a run team. You have to run the ball. You have to run that threat. So get openings for AJ Brown. You can have these things, but I think it's a lot bigger than just that one play because it
Yeah,
doesn't
no, I
defend
can
the
100.
fact that yeah,
Yeah,
like they
I
ran
can.
38 more plays than you, man. Like come on.
I can 100% agree with that, and that's why I hate to see the Eagles fans and just fans in across the league in general say that this refereeing call was the reason they lost, blah blah blah. Between this call and then another call that I wanted to get into, the ending of the game, the Eagles, they had gotten their stop per se to end the to give them a chance, and
hmm
then the late hit gets called on Taylor Heineke when he gives himself up. Do you have any thoughts on that potential rule? Do you think what are your thoughts about that in general?
I I don't really have much thoughts on that. It's just the fact that it's just how the game's being called now. Like
I can
it
agree with that.
sucks because it feels like every single game is refed differently.
Yeah,
It's just it's just difficult to say because it's almost like you're playing with different rules every single game, and
yeah,
sometimes it
because
comes
it's
down
because
to
a lot
that.
of them are judgment calls, and
Yeah.
it's up to one guy's judgment.
Yeah, but I believe at the end of the day, the team that deserved to win won. So,
I can
you know,
100% attest to that
I
as
d-
well.
I don't. If it were maybe the other way around, I would like have a little bit more of a problem with it. But like towards the domination of possession and play calling and just how the Commanders handled themselves. I think the right team won, and I don't really have a problem with it.
Yeah, I can 100% agree with that. I think it's one of those things. By the rule book, they made the right call on Taylor Heineke. He clearly gave himself up, and it was a late hit. There's no debating that, and that's how the game needs to be called. At this point, it's the NFL. It's not quite as dangerous as it was before. I mean, it's still dangerous, but they got to call that.
Yeah, especially with the whole even the Tua situation. That
exactly that has to be called.
And you remember even the games after that, like Tom Brady had a couple bad calls to where that it's roughing of the passer, even though a lot of times I don't believe it's rough for the passer. We saw some plays called for Aaron Rodgers the same way. It's just the fact that the league is really trying to protect the quarterbacks because it's a quarterback league. It's just what it is.
It's what it is.
And a lot of the old heads are not going to like it that way because, back in the day, you could basically pick up the quarterback and fucking throw him over your head. You could WWE, fucking pile drive them, but you just can't do that no more.
No, you can't do that in general.
If it were like that, no, Tom Brady ain't making it past, like 25, 26. No. It's not happening.
He's going for 50 now, bro. It just wouldn't happen in the old NFL.
Yeah, absolutely not. But that's how the game is moving towards that. You can't really touch the quarterback that much. I mean, you can obviously, you have to be just very very cautious of how you do it.
100%.
Yeah,
I've been waiting to get into
this is the one that I've been waiting for, and you being the Dolphins fan, you had this one basically circled that you wanted to be, and I think I know what you're gonna say, but will Tua Tagovailoa win the Most Valuable Player award this season?
He's the MVP right now. He is 100% the MVP right now. The stats show it. That it's just. Did I believe it could happen at the beginning of the season? No. Nobody did. We weren't sure what to expect out of Tua. But the fact of the matter is, the Dolphins this season are 7-0 when Tua starts and finishes the game. In the last 3 games, 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. 2 players in NFL history have had 3 consecutive games with 275 pass yards, 3 pass touchdowns, and a 135 plus passer rating. 1999 Kurt Warner, who won the MVP, and 2022 Tua Tagovailoa. And I'm just going to address this before you get to do it. Tua, and this was his statistics last game, throwing to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. 9 receptions, 110 yards, and 1 touchdown. Tua throwing to everybody else, 17 receptions, 192 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. It's not just, he's got Tyreek, he's got Jalen Waddle, and that's, anyone could do it. No, Tua is just playing phenomenal football. Mike McDaniel is putting him in a good position, and he's getting the job done. 0 punts last game. The fact of the matter is, he's got the highest passer rating in NFL history by a third-year quarterback, 118.4. It's just unbelievable. 37.7% of Tua's passing yards this season are after the catch, the lowest percentage of any quarterback through week 10. He is not a yak guy. He is putting the ball where it needs to be. And people thought Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, it's going to be a bunch of yards after the catch. No, Tua is just doing his thing. He is first in pass touchdowns to interception ratio. He has 9.3 yards per attempt. He's first in touchdown percentage. He's first in QBR. He's first in net yards per attempt. You name a quarterback stat, Tua is pretty much number 1 in it right now. He is by far and away the MVP of the league. You can make the argument for Patrick Mahomes. You definitely can't make the argument for Josh Allen anymore. The only reason why it is not far, far, far and away Tua is because he's missed 3 games. If he didn't miss those 3 games, it would already be over. It would already be over. But even with him missing 3 games, it is his award to lose as of right now, in my opinion. The stats speak for itself. I don't see him slowing down. This team is a well-oiled offensive machine led by Tua Tagovailoa. Put some respect on his name. He's better than Justin Herbert. He's better than Joe Burrow. He is the best quarterback in the 2020 draft class, and that is it. Simple as that. He is him. MVP this man. MVP that man.
I can't deny any of the things that you just said.
Of course you
In
can't.
every single
How could you?
every category that a quarterback can have, Tua is either 1 or he's top 5, top 3 in every single quarterback category. He's taken the league by storm. But I do have to say, it still helps having Tyreek Hill, having his possibly record-breaking season, getting 2K yards, like 2K yards. Who's done that? Nobody. But I'm not gonna deny that, that Tua's, basically, if you take Tyreek out, Tua's just, like freaking just a guy. Tua has definitely proven that this team is his. There
100%.
was talks of like, we might get Tom Brady, or Lamar, you don't want to resign, that the Dolphins might plunge. There's no need, realistically. At this moment, there's no need, because just from how Tua's played, he's played outstanding. And I think at this moment, since Jalen Hurts dropped that game, I'd say it's completely like it's Patrick Mahomes and Tua going for it. And I would edge it out to Tua at this moment.
Wow.
At this moment, yeah. It's just I can obviously, what behind closed doors, I'm gonna give you shit about it because it's your team. But when it comes to it, Tua's been playing great. And there's a lot of people around, a lot of fans around the league that's just like, it's just so out of the blue, out of nowhere, that they're not willing to fold in and say Tua's a good, one of those top guys, that he's better than Joe Burrow, that he's better than, a lot of these top guys. I think Tua's a top 5 quarterback. Even if by the end of the season, we're gonna have to see how he stacks up, next season, and how he does, further on. But he cemented himself as a top 5 quarterback at this moment. And this was something that I told you jokingly before the season started, that you should just say that he's gonna get MVP. You might as well. And you were like, no, I don't want to do that. And now, ironically enough, it's actually something that's an actual conversation.
I didn't expect it. I didn't expect it, even as a Dolphins fan. I think I expected Tua to be really good, because all things were pointing towards him being good. The addition of Mike McDaniel, coming from the Kyle Shanahan system, I knew that this offense was going to be so dynamic. And then you go out, you get Tyreek Hill, you already got Jalen Waddle, you got Raheem Mostert, you got Mike Gesicki. Then you go out in the trade deadline, you get Jeff Wilson Jr. And I just have to say, that was a trade deadline masterclass from Dolphins general manager Chris Grier, because, oh my, Jeff Wilson, I'm not going to call him the best running back in the league or whatever, but he's a damn good running back. And he is doing his thing last game against the Browns, and he is going to continue to do his thing. Him and Raheem Mostert are going to be that duo for the Dolphins. And, they can catch. They can get the ball on the ground. They can run between the tackles, outside. They can do it all. They can do exactly what is needed. And, I love the fact that, and you see this with, they stole this pretty much straight from the 49ers, because it's Mike McDaniel taking it from Kyle Shanahan, but they get the fullback involved as well. The highest graded Pro Football Focus player, offensive player in the whole NFL, was the Dolphins fullback, Alec Ingold. He's going to be an all-pro fullback, and it's a fullback, it flies under the radar. He's a fullback, but he is a damn good fullback. And it's just another piece to this Dolphins offense that it's just amazing. I have never seen anything like this in my life as a Dolphins fan. I mean, we have a dynamic offense. We're 7-3 for the first time since 2001. When I was 2001,
you were born.
I wasn't even born. That's the point I was going to make.
Yeah.
I have not seen this type of success my entire life. So, from here on in, and I've already pretty much, I don't care. I do care, but, if we lose, I'm just glad we're going to make the playoffs. If we can just win a playoff game, I'm taking that, bro. I have never even seen that.
Like, you've never seen it. Never seen it.
Like,
it's been so long.
It's just, I have nothing but good things to say, and it's just unexpected. I expected us to be good. not quite this good,
but
and
not this good. Yeah,
not quite Tua being the damn MVP. Where I'm sitting up here and I'm listing off these stats and I'm saying them. I wrote them down, researching it, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't even. A part of me can't even believe this
because
it's just unbelievable.
The fact that I think I'd have to probably sit down and think about it. The Dolphins might have the best duo, as in like quarterback and receiver. Really enough that Tyreek Hill and Tua haven't been together that long. I think they get along really well. Like
100%.
Off the field, they really respect each other. And like I mentioned before, that Tyreek's having that there was no doubt. There was, there's people who say, could he be the same without Patrick Mahomes? Because it's Patrick Mahomes. But Tyreek's about to break Tyreek fucking Hill. He's always going to be in the conversation to be in the best receiver in the league.
He's about to break the record, like you were saying. He's coming for Calvin Johnson's head top. He's coming for him.
And if he breaks that, I don't know if anybody else will ever break it. It's one of those things. Is like
I don't know quite about that, because I think it's becoming a more and more offensive league, and it's one of the things. Records are meant to be broken in the grand scheme of things. It probably will be broken, but it won't be broken anytime soon.
Anytime soon, yeah.
And it's one of those things, if you're thinking about the top receivers in the game that could break it, we're talking Justin Jefferson, but the thing that's going to hold Justin Jefferson back, he's an all-time great. He's going to be an all-time great. But there's a difference in quarterback play between Kirk Cousins and Tua. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins, he's good, but Tua's the MVP of the league right now. I mean, look, Tua, if you told me before the season that we'd be talking about Tua, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen all being in the same conversation, and it's like, it's not slandering Tua, is Tua just, he's right there with them, I would have said, I don't know about that. I would have said, you might be smoking some crack. But here we are.
Even now, I picked Josh Allen as my MVP pick. Obviously, I have to give that up. That's probably the one thing it's not happening. Josh Allen's there's almost not, like, they would have
they'd have to run the table. Yeah,
but would have to retire.
Mahomes would have to continue to fall off.
And
I don't see any.
That's not happening. But I think it is Tua versus Patrick Mahomes right now for MVP.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see exactly how that plays out, because I think Tua has a slight advantage because, nobody expected this. It's out of the blue, and he's playing so much better than everyone thought. That might play into the voters' minds. But also, Mahomes, I said it coming into the season, I picked Patrick Mahomes because the narrative was there for Patrick Mahomes. Can he do it without Tyreek Hill? Yes, the answer is yes. They're going to be the number one seed potentially. If they're able to lock that up, that could play into it, because, they're the number one seed. They're the best team, and Patrick Mahomes is the best player on the best team. It's hard not to make that argument to say he could be the MVP of the league. It's going to ultimately come down to, can Tua continue to make up for? Well, can they keep going like this? But also, can Tua make up for the lost time that he had? Because MVP, Tua, at the end of the day, Tua doesn't, particularly care or whatever. But
he doesn't care for it now.
But in order to win MVP, it's about staying healthy, and you got to have the best numbers and the best statistics. And although Tua is leading in all of these categories, he's going to have to find a way to make up for those 3 games that he missed. And the voters, they can put in the back of their head he missed 3 games. But when you're comparing Mahomes, who would have played a full schedule, and you're comparing Tua, who missed 3 games, and if Mahomes' stats are just better, you can't just say, well, Tua missed 3 games, I projected he would have done this. You can't look at projections. There ain't no projections. It's based on what actually happened. So it's going to be tough. But I think Mahomes' narrative is great, but Tua's narrative is just even better.
It's different.
It's even better.
It's different. Yeah.
And ultimately, it's a narrative-driven award, and both of them have great narratives. Tua's is just slightly better, in my opinion.
And I would have to agree at this very moment. Yes.
At this very moment, it's subject to change. Yeah. It's weird that we're talking about an MVP candidate, and it's like part of me still doesn't believe he's gonna keep playing this well, because he's just so like I just haven't even fully wrapped my head around it. It's like Patrick Mahomes, you expect this week in, week out. Josh Allen similar, which is why when he doesn't do that, it's a big talking point. Tua, although he's putting himself up there in terms of the numbers, it's like, are we still 100% expecting this yet? Are we at that point? I don't know. So it's just crazy that we're even having this conversation in the grand scheme.
Yeah.
Like if you told me at the start of the season we'd be having this conversation, I would have said, well, I wouldn't even have known what this.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I would have to agree.
It is unbelievable.
You know, absolutely. But, you know, this is something we've been holding off for a little bit now. I think we're finally finished up with American football.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's time to get into the biggest tournament.
Woo! Let's go!
The biggest tournament of the year and the biggest tournament possibly ever, the FIFA World Cup. We're finally World Cup month. It's World Cup week. It's literally days away.
We're days away.
It's about to kick off the beautiful game. And I just want to get before anything starts, I want to put our predictions out there and just have it out and see how we do. See how close we get. So I know you wanted to do this a little bit different to the pick'em style. So I want you to tell me from Group A to Group H who you have finishing 1 and 2 each of those groups.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start off Group A. Senegal winning the group and Netherlands finishing second.
Okay.
Group B, I got England finishing first and I got USA finishing second. Group C, I got Argentina finishing first, Poland finishing second. Group D, France finishing first, Denmark finishing second. Group E, Germany finishing first, and Spain finishing second. Group F, Belgium finishing first, and Canada finishing second. Group G, Brazil finishing first, Serbia finishing second, and Group H, Portugal finishing first, and Uruguay finishing second.
Okay. Dude, I fucking love the World Cup. So, dude, just talking about this shit makes me giddy that I want to see all these.
I can't wait,
games.
bro. I literally can't wait.
But we had some differences, but you'll hear them now, I guess. Starting off with mine. So in Group A, I got I got Senegal and I got Qatar.
Wait, what?
And I got Qatar. Yeah, I got Qatar. So Group A, Senegal and Qatar. Group B, give me England and the USA. Group C, give me Argentina y Mexico. Group D, France and Denmark. Group E, I got Germany and Spain. Group F, I got Croatia and then Belgium.
Okay.
Group G, I got Brazil and Cameroon. And Group H, I got Portugal and Uruguay.
Okay.
That's what I got.
Hold on. Qatar?
I got Qatar. Look. I think that the refs are going to be leaning a lot of a certain way to Qatar.
Remember Russia?
Exactly. There's always weird shit that happens when the home country gets to be in the World Cup.
They had the doping scandal.
The doping scandal, like, dude, I think they're going to make it out the group because Group A is not a very strong group anyway. I don't think it would be completely crazy that Qatar actually get to the round of 16.
I think the Netherlands are a solid team, but even I didn't pick them to win the group.
I gotta pick some type of upset somewhere because it's
bound to happen.
Because we skipped over the fact that we're both predicting France to break the curse, to finally break the damn curse of the World Cup champion not making it out the group.
We'll speak on France, as a team, after we give our full predictions here, because they're obviously a huge talking point.
Yeah.
But I mean,
now
my main thing, I was just blown away about Qatar for a second here. But I understand why you did it, but I think you can make the comparisons between them and Russia, obviously, but I feel like Russia was just a better team.
Russia did have pretty good players.
Denis Cheryshev and stuff like that. That's some quality. I can't honest to God, I can't name a single player on the Qatar national team.
I can't either. I cannot either.
If you play the FIFA World Cup mode, you can't even pack one of them. You don't even know who they are.
I don't think any of them have player faces, but any pictures. I don't think they took any pictures of them. But our Group B was the same. Group C was different. I'm surprised you didn't have Mexico there. So you just think Mexico's pulling up to go home?
Well, Mexico, they're a little bit of a banged up team, and ultimately, we've seen they're not quite the same Mexican team. They have some quality players. Obviously, they got Chucky Lozano. It's going to be interesting to see exactly how they all play. But I would just say they're a little bit too banged up. Tecatito Corona not going to be, playing. That's a huge loss. They just have some things that they're missing. I think Poland, obviously, they got, led by Lewa.
Lewandowski.
They have a solid team. Argentina, for me, they're winning that group quite handily.
Yeah.
But then, it's going to be interesting to see between Poland and Mexico who can quite put it out. I got to give the edge to Poland, though.
Yeah, that's understandable, but I just think the history of Mexico in this competition, they've always been, perennial. Yeah. They always get to the round of 16.
And then we know what happens in the round of 16. Though,
yeah, but I'm gonna trust with my boys, and I'm gonna have them go through.
Your boys,
my boys. Group D, we agreed on France and Denmark. Group B, we agreed on. Group F, you didn't have Croatia coming out. Right?
It's one of those things, like you kind of reiterated, you got to kind of have an upset somewhere. And, it's tough, because Croatia, they obviously have quality players. My issues is not necessarily, I think Croatia is a bad team. I just think Canada, they might be a little bit slept on in the grand scheme of things, because I think Canada is a pretty damn good team,
yeah, definitely. Because it's like Canada's coming in this World Cup as they didn't expect to be in Qatar. They had no idea they'd be. You told any of these players that they probably had vacations already planned around this time. They probably had to cancel them and go to Qatar. It's like shit. I didn't think we were gonna be
literally. There. It's one of those things. They were the best team in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying, better than USA, better than Mexico. There's no reason for me to believe they can't carry on this form into the World Cup and potentially knock off a Croatia in a one-off game. And finish second in the group. I could realistically see them beating Belgium. This group is up for grabs for me, because I could see Belgium losing. I could see Croatia, sneaking in there. I could see Canada doing well. It's a little bit up for grabs for me, but I think Belgium, given, they have such quality players, even though some of them are kind of washed, Eden Hazard, things of that nature, but they still have enough to get, number one.
Yeah, I mean, they got Kevin De Bruyne and Lukaku, Courtois, and they still have the core that makes them very good. Even I think to an extent, Croatia too. They still have Luka Modric, and it's leaving my brain now. The striker for Juventus now, I think you know his name, Vlahovic. He's doing pretty good, having a pretty solid season, and I think Croatia has a little bit more foundational players than 100%. Canada. But
100%. I'm not going to debate on that.
But Canada, I think Canada has a little bit more maybe of a connection together that they're playing with house money in 100%. A certain sense.
Exactly, and I like that.
Yeah. So that's not something I'm super shocked. Oh, you picked that, but then Group G, I had Brazil. We had Brazil finish first. Who did you have for second? I had Cameroon.
I had Serbia.
That's kind of
bro, and I said this to you when I was originally making my predictions. This after Brazil, any one of one of those teams could win the group.
Whoever
or not win the group, finish second. I mean,
finish second.
And any one of them could. Cameroon, I wouldn't be surprised. Serbia, I wouldn't be surprised. I forgot. Was it Switzerland?
Serbia has some pretty good players.
I think was it Switzerland who was the other one in the group? I could see them doing it.
Switzerland.
Exactly. I could see Switzerland. They're a solid team. There's a lot of. It's just so even.
Yeah.
It's like Cameroon could, easily finish second.
Serbia could easily. In the final.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going that far. I hope you aren't going that far.
No, but I'm gonna trust the legend in Samuel Eto'o that they're gonna make it out the group. I'm gonna trust the legend.
Hey, I can't blame you for that.
And Group H, we agreed on that. I think Portugal. You had Portugal finish first, which that one is. Dude, I think that one might be the most competitive one to who's gonna try and get first.
I think
Uruguay is really good.
No, I was gonna say first. I kind of expected, because of your romance affair with Fede Valverde, that I thought if you were potentially gonna put them first. I wouldn't be surprised if you have them making a run. We'll see that in a second here.
The only thing with them, Fede's playing very, very, very well. Is just I don't trust Darwin Núñez very much to lead this team into to be a strike force like Luis Suarez has been for
it's gonna
God
be
knows how long.
I think it's gonna be Suarez and
Nunez.
It's Suarez and New. I don't know how.
Yeah, that's
can't wait
terrible.
I can't wait to watch it. I'll say that. I don't know how it's gonna play though.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna equivalent to playing good, but
but it's gonna be fun to watch.
We might see some like 1980 style football where
Yeah,
there's no rules. Man, it's just like these guys are, But
it's gonna be interesting. I think it's one of them things. Although I necessarily don't quite have 100% faith in Darwin Núñez either, I could also see it going the opposite way, and Darwin Núñez has an amazing World Cup. It could go either way.
Because they could play to his strength.
And he could just get in a good run of form at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And, we saw him be able to do that for Liverpool, get into, he scored 2 goals.
Yeah, he's starting to somewhat get it.
So, like, he's coming into the World Cup confident. I'm not over here guaranteeing that he's going to be anything too crazy, but he had, like, we know there's a reason Liverpool paid that price tag, and there's a reason, we speak about him in the way that we do because he has that potential, and we know he's a quality player. It's just, can he put the pieces together? It remains to be seen. It's going to be interesting, but if anyone is going to be able to teach him and get him to do it, it's going to be Luis Suarez.
It's Luis Suarez, yeah. And I'm pretty sure Cavani is there as well. I think he's still in the squad. And it's always been around veterans of the game, of that sense. But I still have Portugal finishing above.
Yeah, because the Portugal squad, it's
crazy
squad.
To me, like how deep that squad is.
And that's with some injuries, man. They have no Jota.
Yeah, no Jota, but the fact that we're gonna touch on it later. Of that, I think they're like I don't hear a lot of people talk about Portugal, and I think they're a crazy, like, under the radar dark horse, just because a lot of the thing with the Cristiano Ronaldo situation. There again, we'll get into later. And I think we should just move into our round of 16. Our thoughts. I'll let you go first on it.
All right.
On how your bracket's going off.
All right. So my bracket starts off here with Senegal playing USA in the round of 16. I'm taking the USA to get this dub. I'm taking the USA. Okay. And then, the next game that it would be Argentina playing Denmark. I'm taking Argentina in that. My next game after that would be England versus Netherlands. And I'm taking the Netherlands.
Okay.
France versus Poland would be the next game. And I have to give the edge to France on that. I have to take France there. And then Germany would play Canada. And I got to take Germany in that game.
Mm-hmm.
They're just a well-oiled machine. And then this game would be something special here.
This is the one we have the similar one. This would be the game of round of 16.
Brazil versus Uruguay. Oh my, that would be a good game. But I just have to take Brazil in that game at the end of the day. Well. We'll hear yours. But then, the next game would be Belgium and Spain, and that's going to be another good game. Could make the argument for either way, but I'm going to take Belgium.
Okay.
And then the final game of my round of 16 would be Portugal playing Serbia, and I'm taking Portugal.
Fair. It's fair. Yeah.
So do you want me to finish my whole bracket off, or do you want to do it like round by round?
No. We'll do it round by round. By round. And my game on my bracket starts off with same Senegal USA. I got the US going through that.
Yeah.
Argentina Denmark. Give me Argentina. England versus Qatar. This is the game this is the game we need. England versus Qatar. The clash of the fans. I have to see it. That
would be must see TV.
The England fans that can't take their shirt off. In the stadium. And I have England winning. So that's Qatar. That's as far as you go for me. I gave you a little bit. That's as far as you go. Then I got actually a pretty cool matchup. France versus Mexico. And I got France moving on.
Yeah.
Then and mine that was different. A pretty good marquee, good game. Germany versus Belgium. The battle of the flags of the same color.
Yeah.
And I got Belgium winning that. I'll take Belgium in that. And then the next one that would be, I think no matter what, this is the game of the round. Brazil versus Uruguay. I got Brazil.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing game if that does.
It's going to be a good game. Unfortunate if it comes out to that, because Uruguay is a really good team. And
they deserve to go farther.
They deserve to go farther, but rubber meets the road. But then I got a pretty good game: Croatia, Spain, and I got Spain getting by. I think they got a lot of young players in that team that are gonna take them.
Gavi.
God, my fucking Gavi. More Pedri. I'll take Pedri over Gavi. But then the next round I got Portugal versus Cameroon, and I got Portugal going through.
Okay.
On that one.
So
that's what I got.
Wow. Hey, like although the matchups might not all be the same, there's a lot of similar teams going forward.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
So,
I mean, when it starts getting closer to the end, I think we're gonna have similar teams.
Yeah.
Just somewhat different matchups, but
Yeah, exactly. But so my quarterfinals, we have this is the same for us. USA and Argentina. Look, I would love to say USA is going further, but this is where it ends, my boys.
This is where it ends.
Argentina goes forward. They win that game quite handily. Germany versus Brazil, the rematch, the game we've been waiting for. Brazil gets their revenge. Brazil moves forward past Germany. And then Netherlands versus France. It'd be an interesting one. Netherlands, you've went far. You're not making it past this one. France takes the dub on this one. And then my final quarterfinal matchup, Belgium versus Portugal. I'm taking Portugal.
It's fair. I can't really. Obviously, ours is going to be different, but I can't really disagree with most of the things you said. I kind of fucked up. I lost my quarterfinals thing, so I'm filling it out literally right now so I can get the matchups correctly. So give me like fucking 5 seconds, Jesus. So boom, 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 boom.
Jeez, bottled it.
I've completely fucked it. Wait, what doesn't even make sense? Oh my god. I might literally have to skip my quarterfinals. This is not good. Yeah, I don't know how I've done that. Wait, no, because I go from round of 16 to semifinals. So I think I've completely bottled it. But literally, the people that I have advancing to the semifinals would be Argentina, Brazil playing in the semifinal. And then the other side of the semifinal would be France and Portugal. So,
it ends up working out the same way.
Yeah, we still end up having that.
So we have completely kind of different matchups in the grand scheme of things, but but both of us have managed to work it down to a semifinals.
Teams, yeah.
Argentina, Brazil, France, Portugal. Oh baby, the storylines with these matchups. The storylines
because it's literally 2 rematches. The rematch of 2016 Euro final, and then a rematch of the Copa America. Of the Copa America that just passed, that Brazil lost to.
I love the World Cup, man. What matchups these would be, man. This is just unbelievable.
That we could be blessed with. But I think since I bought the last one, I'll try and go first on this one. So for the first semifinal, Argentina versus Brazil, I got Argentina advancing past Brazil once again. I think Argentina have just this different mentality that 100%. they're beyond Brazil at this very moment, but we'll touch on it more because we have points of Argentina. But the semifinal, France versus Portugal.
Come on, we know what we want to see, man.
The dream has to die. I got France winning. I got France advancing in that, beating Portugal. Unfortunately,
even with the Christopher Nkunku news that is
even with the
which I'll touch on in a little bit here. I got that noted. So
yeah. Even with the Nkunku news, I think France are just so deep and that they're going to be wanting to repeat more than I think it's going to carry them to a certain extent past a certain amount of teams. And when it comes against Portugal, I think they're going to get their revenge on them because. In that even though it was so long ago, they're gonna have completely different. This is still fresh on a lot of those players' minds, and I think they're gonna get that one back.
Yeah. So in my semifinals matchups, Argentina versus Brazil, a rematch of the Copa America. I'm taking Argentina. I have Argentina advancing to the finals. I'll get into why I believe so when we've talked further in depth about Argentina. We're also talking in depth about Brazil. But moving forward to my other semifinal matchup, France, Portugal. For you, the dream dies. For me, the dream lives on. Portugal advance. We get the dream matchup we've been waiting our entire lives for. Argentina versus Portugal final. This is what we want to see. This is what the world wants to see. The world will stop. Time will stop when this matchup happens, if it does actually happen. And I think it's happening.
I as badly as my heart wants that final, my logic is just like it's too good. It's too good to possibly come true.
It is too good to be true. I will agree with that.
It's too good to have a final that would literally be Cristiano Ronaldo versus Lionel Messi. That's almost like, I know for a fact let alone like most other countries, in Argentina and Portugal, those would be called off holidays. Like no one would be doing anything else other than watching.
I think the whole world would do that. Like I said, the whole world would stand still.
Yeah, because it's just so many factors that the World Cup final is the biggest.
Alone
is the biggest game.
But then you Argentina, Portugal. Oh my!
You add the greatest player of all time and the second greatest player of all time. People that are, if Ronaldo got a World Cup over Messi,
oh my
God, it's literally like, I don't even know how it's such a close conversation that it's almost like immute, that they just cancel each other out. But that's what you think's gonna happen. I want it to happen, but I can't.
I think everyone wants it to happen.
I gotta err on the side of what I think is more logically gonna happen.
Yeah.
But
so do you want to finish off your bracket? Let's finish it off. Who is gonna win the final, and then obviously the third place as well.
And we can't act like an Argentina-France final doesn't have storylines.
Of course it does.
The fact
Mbappe versus Messi,
like teacher versus student.
Yeah.
And the fact that the last World Cup, France were the one to come out of because Argentina were leading in that game they played against each other, and Argentina were unlucky to run into the champion, the soon to be champion, so early.
They were.
And I think the rematch, this is probably the thing that a lot of these Argentina players probably really want this matchup. They want to play France again. And, I want to see a South American team win. I'm tired of seeing the fucking Europeans win this all the damn time, man. Fuck off. I want to see a South American team. So that's why I have Messi finally doing it and winning his World Cup. I have him finally doing it because they got the team to do it.
You have them knocking off France and winning the World Cup. France,
and we mentioned Mbappe versus Messi. We didn't mention Benzema, who is Ballon d'Or winner, but
took his Ballon d'Or.
Took his Ballon d'Or, but
So then, who would you have finishing third? Yeah,
third place round is Brazil versus Portugal, and I think this is third place. I just think Brazil's going to take it because Portugal's not really going to care for it. It's like
I can agree with that.
It's like
So the world stops on its head. Everyone and their mom, their grandma, their grandpa, everyone is watching this game. Argentina versus Portugal, my predicted final. I have to say, Argentina will win the game. Argentina and Lionel Messi win the World Cup over Cristiano Ronaldo's Portugal. It would just be the spectacle of all spectacles.
It would be his 1,000th career game that he's ever played.
It'd be unbelievable. It looks as if, we've seen and we continue to see it. This Argentina team seems to be, it's primed for this moment. Everything has come together at the right time. Di Maria has magically made his fitness. He's back.
He's freaking squeezing all he has left out of it for this one last run, ride.
They got a lethal striker in Lautaro Martinez. They got Rodrigo De Paul, who's playing amazingly. They got a proper manager who's led him on this 35-game unbeaten streak. All signs for me point to Argentina being able to pull this out. And it just would be that much better if it's the Argentina-Portugal final that, oh my God, we just all want. We all want it. But then in my third place, My third place would be Brazil versus France. And I have to go ahead and give Brazil the edge there. I think Brazil would take the dub and be third place. But obviously, that's not what they're looking for at the end of the day. They're looking to win this tournament. It would be disappointing and both of these teams, France and Brazil, if they're playing in the third place game, both of them would be considering that a disappointment because they're looking to win this tournament at the end of the day.
Yeah. Jesus, the World Cup. But what we wanted to do after we went through that, we wanted to go through our individual awards, and I think obviously a lot of them can be guessed by how we predicted the brackets to go. But I'll let you go first and asking you, who do you think is going to win the Golden Boot? Who's going to have the most goals in this World Cup?
My Golden Boot winner, you're going to love to hear this. I have Karim Benzema winning the Golden Boot. I think he's primed to have a great World Cup. He wants to really prove himself on this stage. We know what Benzema is. He's the Ballon d'Or winner. He's, he was injured, but that's also resting for a sense. He's 100% fit and rested, ready for this moment. France won the 2018 World Cup without him. I think he really wants to take this opportunity and prove himself at the national team and say, I know y'all won the 2018 World Cup, but I'm still here. I'm him. You know what I mean? I'm the guy. And I think I can imagine him having a great World Cup. And I think Mbappe also will have a great World Cup. And it's going to be interesting because he's probably going to take away a couple goals that, Benzema could also have. So they could kind of cancel each other out from winning the Golden Boot. But I think, given how Benzema's been playing at the club level, I think, he'll probably be taking pens as well. All things considered, he's probably going to get that. And it seems as if, given history, 6 goals is the threshold. 5 to 6 goals is the threshold to win Golden Boot at the World Cup. And I think Benzema has a realistic, really good chance at doing that because they're going to pretty much be playing all the way until the third place game, which is the maximum amount of matches you could play. And, I think Benzema, if France are going to go even that far, Benzema is going to have to bag a good amount of goals. So I think he has a great chance of winning it.
Yeah. Do you want to go through your entire awards? Or you want to go pass it off?
I'll pass the question back to you and get your Golden Boot winner. Who do you think is going to win Golden Boot?
This one I had to think about it for a little bit, but then I just thought I almost completely forgot as well that I picked the same guy you did, Karim Benzema. That I think he's coming at this World Cup with a vengeance to the fact that he wasn't in the last one. And he definitely felt that he should have been in it. But, 100%. Obviously the controversies with that. What was going on there is a lot different. But now he's back in the squad, coming off a Ballon d'Or. He's been a little banged up for club, but I think he's been being ultra cautious because even now he didn't even go to training for your team. You Cuckoo's getting injured in training and shit. It's like, dude, this shit's, you gotta be very, very careful because this thing comes by every 4 years. It's not like something that you only get it next year. But I think Benzema will be taking the pens for them as well, and that plays a lot into Golden Boot, who takes pens for each of the countries. And I think Harry Payne, but I think just the poacher Benzema he's just always there. He's camping around the box, and I think he's primed to win this award.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
100%. 100%. And obviously I agree with that. I think it is, going to be his award, but ultimately there's obviously a lot of guys it could be, it's just, you never know. I don't think nobody predicted James Rodriguez to win Golden Boot when he won it. It's the World Cup. It's the beauty of the World Cup. So I don't know what award you wanted to move on to next.
Oh, the next one I got up is who do you got winning the Golden Ball? But I think we kind of know, who's gonna win the best player of the tournament.
It's obvious. Lionel Messi is winning his second Golden Ball. He should have had the World Cup title to go with it in 2014. He just got the Golden Ball. Well, this time he's coming to get both. He will be getting both. Realistically, your Golden Ball winner kind of correlates with who you have winning the World Cup or, getting at least that far.
Most of the time.
And, I think Argentina are primed to have an amazing tournament. and Messi is going to be the guy that's behind that. You know, if Messi doesn't have a great tournament, if Messi doesn't have a great tournament, Argentina, they aren't going, to the heights we expect them to go. It's just what it is. So it's pretty self-explanatory. I got to have Lionel Messi winning this award.
Absolutely. And I have Messi as well. And I think there's not really much I can add more to what you said. It's just he's Messi. He's going to get the World Cup. He's going to get the award. And
exactly.
The next one up that I got on my list is who do you think is going to be winning the best young player?
This is obviously going to be an interesting one for me. And I rate this guy so highly. I have Jamal Musiala of Germany winning the Best Young Player award. This guy has been the catalyst behind Bayern Munich this season. He is a phenomenal player. And I just think he's primed to have an amazing World Cup and really cement himself on the world stage. I think Musiala, he is just so good. And he's going to be able to do that for Germany. He's going to play a big role in this team. And I think Musiala is ultimately going to take home this award. But there's obviously a lot of candidates.
There is a lot of candidates. I mean, I looked at a couple lists of like favorites, and I didn't even see his name there. I don't know. I guess you're just pulling that one out of your ass. But I get you can believe what you want to believe.
I looked at list and I saw him on there, so I don't know. Maybe just looking at different lists. I don't know.
Looking at different lists, but I think that the best young player that's going to be in this tournament is going to be one Vinicius Jr. I think that the fact that he's basically the second go-to on that Brazil team, he's going to be the second best player on that Brazil team, depending on what if Neymar can even stay fit. Hopefully he can. Yeah. Obviously, I want to see the best players there, but it's like 1A to 1B. I think Vinny is going to be one of the leading teams that if Vinny and Neymar are playing good, this Brazil team is going to go very far. But him being Vinny, and Vinny's had a great season. He's followed up his really good last season with a pretty good a good follow up, and I think it's going to lead it to the World Cup. It's his first World Cup, so he's going to wanna show the world on the world stage.
Yeah, I'm look, I know you well, man. I knew you were picking Vinicius Jr. I knew
it was Vinicius or Camavinga. I was leading Tchouaméni. One of those.
I knew you were gonna pick one of the Madrid boys. I knew. So the final award, Golden Glove.
The final award, the Golden Glove winner, and this one I actually didn't know. It was kind of hard to pick. I didn't know who to pick exactly, so I'm just gonna pass it off to you. I had a guy that I ended up eventually picking, but I didn't think it was that like runaway, because usually with this award, it's kind of hard to predict. It's really hard to predict.
You're gonna like my answer here. I have the best goalkeeper in the world, Thibaut Courtois, winning the Golden Glove. Once again, I just think if Belgium are going to do anything in this tournament, I don't think they're winning the tournament or anything like that. But if they're going to do anything at all, they're going to have to not concede that many goals per se. And obviously Thibaut Courtois is going to be the main reason behind that. We know just how good of a goalkeeper he is. He's an amazing shot stopper. I realistically don't think that Belgium is going to put themselves in a position to concede too many goals, although you can't predict random VAR handball pens that they might be given and stuff like that. In the run of play, I don't see Courtois being beaten that much, and, it's a tough award to predict, as you said. So I'm going to lean with the best goalkeeper in the world, and I'm going to go Courtois.
That's fair. That's fair. Where I came from it more that I kind of looked at it as which team was going to go the furthest and which one therefore would have the best goalkeeper. So I don't think even though Argentina have a pretty solid goalkeeper, Martinez, I don't think he's gonna have to be called upon that much as like a team that has gone out, because you have to think about that. Where Courtois had a lot of chances to, show his class, because they were giving up chances. They were giving up a lot of chances for, get shots on goal. And I don't think Argentina are going to definitely a lot more defensive and try and protect, from getting shots off. But my pick was Alisson Becker from Liverpool. So I think, Brazil, I got them finishing third. I think they're going to go pretty far in the tournament, and Brazil can tend to, not the greatest team of all time. So I think they give them shots, and Alisson's gonna, just do enough to have a pretty World Cup, and get the award.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. I could see Alisson.
It's not like yeah. It's one of those awards, like, there is kind of almost no bad answer. It's kind of like, unless you're choosing like the Qatar goalkeeper, like. You choose any of the top ones. Like you can choose Hugo Lloris. I mean, it's not like a crazy thing. It's if you predict them to go really far, it's like,
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. I think it's one of those things. It's one of them. It's the award that's most up for grabs per se. Every award is up for grabs.
Yeah.
That award is like the most unknown. Where it's like, I mean, there's so many quality goalkeepers. It's just going to come down to who is in the best situation and who's doing the best at this particular moment, and also whose defense is doing the best. Because it's an award that is kind of dependent on other people. Your defense has to be doing its job, and also you have to get lucky and not ultimately. You can save a pen, but you don't want to be giving up that many pens, if any.
Yeah, that's funny. But,
so
it is one of those awards. But going into sticking on, Alisson to Brazil coming into this tournament, our tournament favorites. I wanted to get your opinion on, is that warranted, that you think they should be their deserved favorites going into this World Cup?
I think, all things considered, it's not surprising that they're the favorites. I'll say that. You look at that squad when they were one of the first teams, I think, to release their 26-man squad for the World Cup. And my God, you look at this squad down the line and you're just like, Jesus, man, this team is loaded. Ultimately, it's not surprising that they're the favorites. However, there are clear weaknesses in this team, or a weakness in this team, and it's the fullbacks. They have a fullback issue. Their fullbacks are just not that good. I don't want to say ass, but they're kind of ass. Danilo, Danny Alves, Alexandro, and Alex Tellez. If you're gonna find a weakness with this team, it's that. And is that going to be the reason why they don't win the World Cup? I don't have them winning the World Cup. I'm not going to over here say the fullbacks are the 100% the reason, but it's definitely not going to help. And ultimately, Tite is a little bit of a stubborn manager. It'll be interesting to see what tactical lineup choices he makes, because on paper that squad is good, but Tite, he's a stubborn guy and he likes his guys who he 100% believes in. So it's going to come down to, is he going to take the guys he 100% likes the most and who he believes in, or is he going to play who's playing the best? Actually, it remains to be seen. And obviously, Brazil's resume speaks for itself. They went undefeated in 17 South American World Cup qualifiers. And, I can say Tite is stubborn, but he's won 57 out of 76 matches, which is a 75% win rate as Brazil's manager. And obviously that's expected, to a certain extent, because it's Brazil and, they're, that footballing nation everyone kind of first thinks of, is like them. But, they have only one loss in the last 2 years. And that loss is 2021 Copa America final to Argentina, who I ultimately have them losing to. It's going to take a top team to beat Brazil. And it's going to take, even from a top team, it's going to take a top performance. But, me picking Argentina to win the tournament is not hating on Brazil, or it's not me saying that Brazil is bad in any way, shape, or form. It's just I think Argentina is the team of destiny. And Brazil, it's just going to be another unlucky tournament for them. It's just not quite meant to be for them, in my opinion. It's just not quite meant to be. The stars haven't aligned. It's nothing to do with their quality or anything like that. On paper, they probably have the best squad. I just don't quite think they're destined to win the World Cup ultimately, though. That curse, They haven't won it since 2002. It's going to continue. They aren't winning it this year.
No. I would agree to a lot of the same points that you made. Like they going through qualification, they went undefeated. They went 14 wins, 3 draws, 0 losses. And a lot of this, like you said, they have a fullback problem, and I think that they've had this problem forever. That they don't have that one player. I believe they don't have that one leader. Usually the teams that we pick that are going further, they have that one leader. Like France, they have that now they have Karim Benzema. Portugal, they have Ronaldo. Argentina, they have Messi. I don't see Neymar as that leader.
As that guy, I can
as
agree
that
with
guy to be the leader. Of like follow me. I will take you there. And I think that comes down to the fact that they don't have a true, really number 9. Gabriel Jesus has been really good this season, but I don't think that he's that number 9. Like I don't think
Is he a World Cup winning number 9? I don't think so.
I don't think so. And I think when like shit really hits the fan, I don't think they really have that guy that can guide them through it. And they have somewhat of a midfield problem as well, because they're going to be playing Casemiro, who's pretty good, and then who really else, like Fred. You're going to play Fred,
or an out of form Lucas Paqueta or something. Like I don't know.
Yeah. Like their midfield is not the greatest. They got a solid center backs in Militao and Marquinhos, and then obviously they have Alisson or Edison. I think they're going to choose Alisson because Alisson's always usually get the
it should be Alisson.
Should be Alisson. And their front 3 is pretty good, obviously. But then again, also depends on, like, I'm hoping they play Vinny on the left, because Vinny plays better on the left. And if they play him out of position on the right, we won't see Vinny at his best. So it's just I'm curious to how they're gonna structure this team up exactly, because we haven't really seen it at full strength. And now we're gonna get a chance to see it. And they're a great team, and I think it's not crazy. Like, I didn't throw my hands up to be like, well, they're World Cup favorites, but then again, every World Cup favorite, there's never been a World Cup favorite that's won the World Cup. But going into the tournament, there's every favorite has always never won the World Cup. So I think that's not going to change.
And I like the point you made about on paper. We know how good on paper this Brazil team is, but there's, things like Vinny doesn't quite play as good on the right as he does the left and things like that. How is this team going to line up? And, we know how good Vinicius Jr. is on his day, but is Tite going to take into account that, like you said, he plays better on the left than the right? Is he going to, even though Vinicius is the better player, is he going to just put Antony on the right because it's actually where he plays? It's like one of those things. There are question marks throughout the side, not in terms of quality, but in terms of how they line up and how they gel as a unit. My thing with Argentina, who I ultimately think will beat them in the semifinals, we know exactly what Argentina is going to play, how they're going to play, and who's going to be playing where. And there's no ifs, questions, buts about it. They're a cohesive unit. Brazil, they have question marks about those things. So if you're putting those two teams up side by side, who's going to win this matchup? We saw it in the 2021 Copa America final. I'm going to take the well-oiled machine who has already proven themselves as a cohesive unit, has the clear leader in Lionel Messi, that these players are willing to die for. We're going to get into Argentina, so not to hound on them too much. But I'm just going to lean to other teams over Brazil because of that reasoning about there's just question marks about how they're going to line up and be a cohesive unit. On paper, they have the best squad, but that does not always translate to the results. It's not fantasy football.
Yeah. And, I would tend to disagree with you, but I get the point of what you're saying, that like they kind of have the best team on paper, but they still have a very, very stacked team.
Like individual quality, I'm saying, like when you just look at the squads, like you put Brazil's squad in terms of the talent, and you put Argentina's squad. Brazil's squad
compared
is
to Argentina,
better.
Brazil's squad's better.
And I think maybe the team that you're thinking is France.
But
we're gonna get into France next. Let's go ahead and segue. Let's go ahead and segue into France, because you seem to maybe rate them a little bit higher than I do, and I'm interested to get your thoughts on France.
I think if anybody should have been favorites just on paper purely, I think it should have been France. because obviously with the news breaking of Nkunku's injury, we didn't obviously
That
before
plays a huge role. Yeah,
it
I'm gonna
plays
get
a
into
huge
that.
role in it. And uh before any of this odds came out, no one knew that he would. So I don't know how the fact there's a squad that's gonna have that was gonna have, but mostly still does have Benzema, Mbappe, Dembele, Nkunku, and Kingsley Coman with Tuchemeni, and with those guys, those players, like that's literally like the dream team, redeem team. That's like bringing up like the super squad. It's like Jesus, like, all these guys together, and not to forget, the Dembele's been playing pretty good.
Yep.
Benzema, Ballon d'Or winner, Mbappe.
He's
Mbappe's
Mbappe.
Mbappe. Kingsley Coman, pretty good player, and obviously don't have Nkunku anymore, but still, France is always known for being super deep. We didn't mention Antoine Griezmann, who's just a veteran. It's always good to have a veteran there that's been there, done that. He's won the World Cup, and as how it will play into France defending their title, there's a reason. It's been almost like what 50, 60 years. Like the last team to go back, there's only two teams in the history of football that have gone back to back in World Cups. I've won, because they're 4 years apart. It's so much harder to do because so much happens in those 4 years. The last teams to do it were Italy and Brazil. Italy did it in 1934 and then 1938. And then the most recent one, when I say recent one, was
Pele
Brazil.
days?
1958 and then 1962. That's the most recent that it's ever happened because of how hard it is to do.
Yeah.
And I think I have Brazil. I have France getting pretty close to doing it, but
To be fair, you do, yeah.
I have them on the cusp of doing it, but I just don't think they can because of just how many great teams there are before that couldn't do it. And I'm just gonna err with the side that they're probably not gonna be add themselves as the third team to ever do it.
Yeah.
And
it would be amazing if
obviously,
they did.
yeah, but also does play with other key injuries now with Nkunku and not even before the fact that no Paul N'Golo. That's really hard to get by. They're gonna have to trust in Tuchemeni and Camavinga, two players that they're going to be their first senior World Cup. They've done good in the under U21 World Cup, but this is the real deal now.
This is the big leagues.
And this is the big leagues. And I think it just might be too much for them at this moment. And another thing is that I don't know, because this is the different Mbappe than from what we got in the last World Cup. And I don't know if that's a good thing because Mbappe has grown as a player, but almost negatively. That I think his ego is quintuple the size that it was when the 2018 World Cup.
100%, because he was the kid. He was the new kid on the block.
Yeah, he was a new kid, and the first kid since Pele to score in a World Cup final.
Pele.
But now he's like he perceives himself as that guy, and I could affect the team's play when that Benzema's coming back. That I know he respects Benzema, but Benzema's the Ballon d'Or winner. That he's the best player in the world, and that could cause rifts and just how they play. Because I don't know how this we haven't seen it really. Benzema play with Mbappe, so I think that might cause something that they might not be on the same page 100%, and I think that's going to affect how they play, and that's another reason that I don't have them beating in Argentina that are more cohesive.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. For me, France are a great team. Don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting up here saying that they're not a great team. But I have fundamental issues with this French team, or this French team right now. Look, I'm not saying that Camavinga and Tuchemeni are bad players. I think that has to be the midfield duo for them. It has to be because they are clearly the best two options that they got. But beyond that, their midfield depth is not great. The injuries of Pogba and Kante, coming into the World Cup, those are huge, huge losses. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. They're bringing, Rabio Veretout from Aston Villa. If they got to make a sub, or if one of these guys gets hurt or something, their midfield is trash. Their midfield is trash. It's like Camavinga and Tchouaméni, they're good. But Camavinga, he's still young, man, and Tchouaméni as well. You're throwing them out there to be the anchors of a team that potentially could be going all the way. I think it's just, I'm not doubting their ability or their quality. I just think it's going to be tough, especially to fill the shoes of Kante and Pogba, who were so much of the reason that they ultimately got to where they did. Obviously, Mbappe and everyone, it was an amazing world-class team, France was. Mm-hmm. But Kante and Pogba were so much of the reason why they were able to get to where they were. Kante brought the best out of Pogba. He unlocked him, made him a whole different player than what we had seen at the time. And they're just not going to have that. Obviously, they're making up for that in the sense because they're adding, a Ballon d'Or winner, Karim Benzema. Mm-hmm. But, this Nkunku injury that just happened is extremely massive, because, I wasn't sure exactly, like, Nkunku broke onto the scene in the grand scheme of things. He wasn't necessarily expected, but let's just be honest. He's a world-class player, and, you had him and now you don't. It's a loss. It's a loss. And, I think Benzema is going to win the Golden Boot of this tournament, but that's me, thinking that he's going to gel well with this team. But there is still a possibility that doesn't happen. And Benzema might not play as well as I think he will. And if he doesn't, then this team definitely has no chance. I think they're obviously a great team, but Nkunku was projected to potentially be starting for this team. And now he's out for the whole World Cup. And, you touched on him. Griezmann is a savvy veteran, but he is not the same player that he was in 2018.
Not the same guy, yeah.
He comes off the bench now for Atletico. He's a bench player, and now he's going to be thrown out into the fold as the one of the guys for France. Obviously, it's not quite 2018 where he's not being asked to be the guy or anything like that, but he still has to contribute.
Yeah, and he can't do the same things Nkunku can do, because Nkunku can play almost both sides of the ball. He can get back. He can track back. Griezmann's not tracking back. He's not pressing. He's just more gonna try and connect the play, which is not a bad thing. But it's like he doesn't offer the things Nkunku would have offered you, because Nkunku can facilitate as well as Griezmann can, but Griezmann cannot get back on defense the way Nkunku can.
Yeah, no, 100%. And, plus going forward, Griezmann, we know what he was, but even going forward and scoring the goals, Nkunku, he's the talisman for RB Leipzig at this moment. He's their guy. He's the reason why they're even where they are, and, in terms of a club. And, Griezmann is just not quite, it's crazy to say it, but Griezmann is just not quite filling the boots of Mbappe, or not Mbappe, of Nkunku at the end of the day. He's just not quite filling the boots.
Or Mbappe.
No, he was definitely not Mbappe. But at the end of the day, how Mbappe and Benzema both play, it's amazing to have two players of that quality. It's going to be key how they play together and how they gel. We've seen at times, in the build up to the World Cup, that the sparks and the flashes of how the two will be. It's just, I can't see France going back to back because it's so difficult to do. But then also, this France squad is just not as good as the 2018 one, and we thought it would be. We thought, we'll wait 4 years for Mbappe, how good he's going to be. He's still an amazing player, but there's just other issues with the team.
Yeah,
this is no disrespect to them as players. I think they're amazing players. They're going to continue to be amazing players. I just find it hard to believe that Camavinga and Tchouaméni, being the anchors of this midfield, are going to lead this team to a World Cup victory. I find it very hard to believe. And then when their backups are Jordan Veretout and Adrien Rabiot, it's 2022, and these are your guys. I just find it hard to believe that they're going to be able to do what they were able to do in 2018. They have an amazing defense, and obviously Hugo Lloris is Hugo Lloris. They can win it. I'm not saying they can't. I would just be surprised, per se, and I just don't quite see it. They're obviously going to do amazing things. They're going to make the semifinals, in my opinion, like we predicted in our predictions. it's just, one of those things. I just don't quite see them win the World Cup, which is obviously going to be the expectation. It is the expectation.
I would agree on that. Yeah.
So now, well, for both of us, this is the champion.
Yeah, we're top.
So, Argentina, for you, go a little bit more in depth as to, why you believe this team will be the champions. What do you like about them?
I think they finally have they've solved almost every problem they've had since the 2014 World Cup. That even going into the 2016, even the Copa Americas that they lost to Chile, this team seemed to be missing the spark that it needed. That they kind of had guys, but they played to like their regular level. Now Argentina they're playing like they truly believe in something. They believe in the idea of that they belong, and they're playing up to standards. Like some of these guys, like on paper, like is DePaul better than like Casemiro? No, but in this system that Argentina run, he's invaluable. You need DePaul.
No, DePaul is amazing for Argentina.
You need
unbelievable.
DePaul. And there's a lot of guys, especially like they're Argentina's left back and right back and their center backs. They're not the most well known people ever. Even their goalkeeper Martinez, he doesn't play
Aston
for
Villa.
he plays for Aston Villa. But when he plays for Argentina, even in that Copa America run, the fact that these guys are building a confidence in themselves, and I think that's what spread. And even when it came down to penalties, Martinez was trash talking to these Colombian players, telling them that I know where you're gonna go. They're just building this confidence. This team, it has a swagger to it now that it never had. Because when you go back and think, how was Chile able to beat this Argentina team twice? How were they able to get by them? And it's because those Chile players had an aura that they played up to. That when they all got sent out to their clubs, they never played the same as they did for their nation. And 100%. Now they're flipping the switch. That these Argentina players, they may not play as good as for the clubs, but when they come together and they finally are playing together, they play up, and everybody plays a little bit better. It's like what we expect from players when they get to the playoffs. We want to see your numbers get better when more we get put on the stage, and that's what finally this team has got. And weirdly enough, with Messi getting older, Messi's still Messi. Is he as good as he was in 2014? No. But is he good enough? Absolutely.
100%.
He can do what needs to be done.
He's an elite facilitator still, obviously.
And another problem was they didn't have like for some reason, I never knew why, Kun Agüero never really got on with this Argentina squad. I don't know how. Him and Messi are best friends. It never worked. They wanted Higuain for all those years. God, I don't know why. But I don't know why, but now they finally have a number 9 that's pretty consistent with how he scores. He's great. Another Martinez. They have a couple Martinez in this team.
Lautaro
Martinez playing very well, and he gels well with this Argentina squad. And to mention that Di Maria somehow is squeezing whatever he has left for Argentina. This guy scored an outside the boot volley today.
My God.
And like, where is this guy getting this from? And it's like,
I thought he was injured.
Di Maria's old. We were talking about that. We didn't know if he'd make the squad, and he's out here just playing. And he's doing what he has to do.
And he was the reason, not the reason per se, but he scored the goal in the Copa America final.
In the Copa America final. Like this guy is getting up, and he's like, for club level, he's all right. But for Argentina, he's playing at a different level,
100%.
At a way different level. And not to mention the fact that Dybala's on the bench. Like, I know for some reason,
he's never quite kicked it off.
I never understood why. I think Dybala never really, like, I'm reading that Dybala doesn't get along with Messi. I don't know how the fuck that's possible, but it's always, at least you have a player in the talent of Dybala on your bench.
On the bench.
God knows
if you need a goal,
you put him on, and who knows is Dybala. But just how this team plays, they also went unbeaten. They're on a 35 game unbeaten streak. They haven't lost.
And they're gonna they're trying to break the all-time record.
They're trying to break the all-time record, and I think that's something they could do because they believe they can, and they have the swagger and belief that we have Messi and we can't lose. These players are fully now playing for Messi. The goalkeeper's like, I'm going to win this for you. We're winning this for you.
They elevate their performance for Messi. They are willing to run through the brick wall for Messi.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you saw this, but did you just see the clip of the speech Messi gave before the halftime? It's
like bring that up.
The fact that this team goes with him and they truly believe, because I think Messi's one of the all-time great leaders. That's why I think even with they don't have a team on paper that's good as Brazil, it's like when you look at this team, it's Messi, and then their second best player is what like Di Maria maybe, or what from like that from on paper. But like when you go to Brazil, it's Neymar and Vinicius. Like other than Messi, Vinicius is better than every other player on this Argentina team, but he doesn't fit the role that they need, and these players fit the roles that they need to play, which make them one of the most well-rounded teams, and that's why we have them winning.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with everything you've said pretty much. I mean, today we saw, the pre-World Cup. We saw a taste, we've seen 35 consecutive games of the taste per se, but everyone's getting involved. We even seen a name you didn't mention, coming off the bench. He's going to be coming off the bench, Julian Alvarez. The Man City striker, he's getting along with Messi. He's just another example of a guy who he grew up idolizing Messi. He's a young player. Now he's getting that opportunity with Messi, willing to run through a wall for the guy. It's like these players, obviously they have great players, but when you compare it to a squad like Brazil, it's not the same level of just individual quality.
Yeah.
But I have to give massive, massive, massive credit to Lionel Scaloni, because he has transformed this Argentina team. We saw it before with previous managers. They held this team back, and I feel bad because they just weren't quite getting it done. But Scaloni is the guy. He is this guy. Tactically, he is able to get it done with what this team has. He knows his players, and he knows what's going to work. We saw it in the Copa America final. You're able to hold this Brazil attack and this Brazil team to minuscule chances, and obviously they get a clean sheet in the match. It's one of those things. They are willing to do whatever it takes to win any tactical situation. They're prepared. They have a diverse team, a unique team, as to where they can do multiple different things. They can switch formations in the moment if they have to. They're versatile, and it's one of those things. They are set to break Italy's Italy's unbeaten record during the World Cup. I think they will break this record during the World Cup. It's just inevitable to happen. Obviously, Giovanni Lo Celso being injured for the tournament is a loss, but their midfield should be fine. And the fact that Angel Di Maria has made it, he's fully fit, he's scoring goals like he did today. That is an amazing that's amazing news for Argentina. Ultimately, they wouldn't have been able. They wouldn't have won the World Cup without him. It's just the fact. They wouldn't have been able to do it. To be honest, people forget Angel Di Maria didn't play in the 2014 final. He couldn't play because he was injured. People always say it could have been a different result then if Di Maria was fit. Hopefully, he's able to stay fit throughout the course of this whole tournament. If he is, I think Argentina, obviously will go on and win this tournament. DePaul, like you mentioned, is going to be extremely important. He's like the catalyst. What is it called?
Catalyst.
The catalyst of this midfield. Exactly. The midfield. He's the general. It runs through him. He's that guy for them.
Yeah.
And then I'm not quite sure exactly what their center back pairing is going to be, but they have Christian Romero from Tottenham. And we heard about it in the Ronaldo interview. Ronaldo says that he gets a lot of credit. Lisandro Martinez, he's a great center back. There's reports they might be going with Otamendi. I don't know. They'll be good either way. But I think Lisandro Martinez is great. Their fullbacks are decent. Emiliano Martinez, good goalkeeper. Just one of those things. They might not be the best team on paper. But when a push comes to shove, when rubber meets the road, this team, they're willing to die for Messi. And I think Messi obviously is going to have an amazing World Cup. That attack is going to do its thing. I think Lautaro Martinez is going to have an elite tournament. Like you said, we did our Golden Boot predictions, and part of me was thinking, Lautaro Martinez might be in that mix. He's going to score some goals. He's going to have a really good tournament. Didn't quite make my Golden Boot, prediction, but he's going to have a good tournament. It's just one of those things. The opposite of Brazil, I think the stars have aligned. It's just time. It just feels like it's time. I don't know. You obviously picked him as well. For me personally, I just get the feeling right now that it's Argentina. Like, it just has to be. I don't know. You can call me crazy, call me weird. I just get a feeling like you can feel it. This is Argentina's tournament.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that comes from, the points like, they're willing to die for Messi. And it's like, you just feel they're going to do whatever it takes to win.
Yeah, I completely agree with that as well. It's just, I think it's time, because it's not even to say, I thought the same thing last year that, freaking Argentina would win because it's aligning for Messi. I didn't feel that they could win at all last World Cup 2018. I didn't think there was a chance. And now
I was rooting for it, but we all knew,
Yeah, but this one, it actually, it's not ironically that
they have a
Argentina are really good team right now. Like,
they're the third betting favorites behind Brazil and France at the moment.
Yeah. But talking about potential favorites, there's a big team across the pond. Where football was created, the founders of football, and I wanted to get your ideas, because obviously there's England have probably one of the loudest, biggest fan bases in football. And when they there's a bunch of ideas, because they have a really, really talented entire team, entire squad.
100%.
And I wanted to get your ideas, because you have them going out the round of 16.
Did I? I
believe you had them losing to the Netherlands.
I did.
And if England go out in the round of 16,
all hell will break loose.
Jesus Christ! Oh, the amount of slander content that the British YouTubers have. Oh my God!
It's gonna be crazy.
It would be crazy, but I wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, ultimately, a lot of it, their form after a lot of people would say, after Euro 2020 happened and they lost in the final on penalties of all things, they should have had that. Ultimately, they were like, okay, well, we know that, they can make it this far in an international tournament. They can do it. They have a good enough squad. We'll see where they're at by the World Cup. They thought they were going to keep going on the up.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of continuing on the incline, if anything, they've gone on the decline since then. It's not because they have a bad squad. It's just Gareth Southgate is not the guy. He's not a great manager. He should be sacked.
I literally have it in bold right here that Gareth Southgate is not a good manager.
Like, obviously, I understand you can't sack him after he finishes second in the Euros, and you can't sack him before the World Cup. But this guy is not a good manager, man. He's just being carried by the quality of players that they got. But if they had a proper manager, they would be potentially the real favorites of this tournament, because they have the squad to do so.
Yeah.
But, their squad is good, but I still have issues with their squad selection as it is, because Gareth Southgate, this is part of the reason why he's not a good manager. He has his favorites.
Mm-hmm.
He's not picking the best players based on form and just who's the best player. He's picking favorites. Let's just be honest. Their projected defense, Kieran Trippier, John Stones, Harry Maguire, and Luke Shaw.
Jesus, that's horrible.
That is not a World Cup winning defense at all. And they have guys like Tomori, who are doing great things for AC Milan, who aren't even making the squad. Keep in mind, the rest of the defenders in this squad, Connor Cody, Eric Dyer, Ben White. And then they're like, obviously, John Stones and Harry Maguire. Those guys do not give me faith as center backs. You know what I mean? Trent, he's not even the starting right back. Somehow,
he doesn't like Trent.
Somehow, Kyle Walker has made a magical recovery, and he's going to be playing at some point, and that will help shore up the defense somewhat, but that's not going to be enough for me. This defense is not good enough to win the World Cup. And their midfield and attack is amazing. It's great. And Jude Bellingham has gotten so much, like where he's going to be starting, that he wasn't necessarily, in that conversation in the world, in the Euros. Now he's developed and we know how good he is. He's going to be a potentially 150 million euro guy in the transfer window. Every top club wants him. He's that guy in the midfield. Their midfield and attack is so good. But this defense and the managerial tactics are going to hold them back ultimately because he picks favorites. Saka is on amazing form, and they're saying he's not even going to be in the starting 11. Saka not in the starting 11. Look, I'm a Chelsea fan. Raheem Sterling, based on current form, should not be in the starting 11. But I guarantee it, when England's first game comes around, Raheem Sterling is going to be in the starting 11. Yeah. He is not picking the best players based on form, and he's just going with his favorites. And that's what's going to hold them back ultimately.
And I think it's even bigger than that. It's just the philosophy of football of that he plays and he believes in. He plays in such a boring style.
So boring.
Just boring. A defensive sit behind the ball. Like in that Euro final, they had one shot on target. And that was in the first minute. The first minute of the first goal. It's like for the rest of the game, extra time, no other shots. It's like it's unacceptable.
With the squad this good.
With this English squad, you should be playing a high pressing, counter-attacking style football. You have Jude Bellingham who can run up and down the field. You have Declan Rice, who's a hold down midfielder, lockdown.
He plays so good for England. He's so good.
Mason Mount, who plays well for England. He caught a little bit of form. He could play that role. Then you have your attackers, Phil Foden, who can get up and down. He's young. You got Harry Kane, a poacher in there. You got Marcus Rashford, who found a little bit of good form. He could come off your bench. You could start him, or you could put Saka. It's like this Raheem Sterling. You have so much just like electrifying players that can, if you allow them to click and just not have to worry about sitting behind the ball and trying to play this weird defensive five in the back. It's like, I don't understand why. And there's a lot of fans that are like, oh, Southgate got us to a final playing like this. You didn't win. Did you watch the final? It was horrible. It was not. They should have had that
game. They should have had that game.
You should be beating this Italian squad that didn't even make the fucking World Cup. Like, you got to be beating the squad. And this Italian squad was not that good. Argentina destroyed them. It wasn't. They destroyed them. It's like, dude, you got. They have, it sucks because it's like, when is England gonna get it right? They're pissing away another golden generation. The same way when they had Stevie G, they had Lampard, they had
Beckham.
They had all these guys. But back then it was a little bit different because the rivalries between them is what really drove them apart. They could never really click with each other just because of how much they hated each other.
Yeah.
But
this is just managerial issues.
And now, it's in this new era where everybody's more buddy. There's not really any hatred towards the players, but it's just Southgate with his philosophy of how he wants to play the game. That's just 100%. It's poor, it's boring. It's not gonna. You're not winning anything playing five in the back. You shouldn't deserve to win anything because it's like that's anti-football. Gareth Southgate plays anti-football, and to be gifted so many, like a Jude Bellingham, a Phil Foden, these guys, it's just so, it's heartbreaking, dude. It's like, fuck.
It is. It really is.
Because they could really, really go far in this tournament, but I just know that they would lose to a Netherlands just because of how they play.
It's just one of those things. They, like, on paper, They could win the damn tournament, but it's just not going to happen because of the reasons that me and you have both stated. It's just one of them things. It's just sad because, although I'm not an England fan by any stretch of the imagination, if anything, the USA, they got kind of a beef to a certain extent. But
they went to war.
Yeah, but yeah. So moving forward onto our next thing, moving away from England onto, someone who we both have going pretty damn far in the tournament. I have them making the final. You have them making the semifinal. Portugal. I wanted to ask your thoughts. What do you think about this Portuguese side and their chances at the World Cup here?
I think they for a lot of people, they're not very under the radar team. just so the fact that you know how how they have such a strong core. Like they have a strong core to go off of, especially like even starting in defense where they have Ruben Diaz and they have Cancelo. Like those are very two influential players that have on defense. And when you go to the midfield, they have a very solid midfield in Bruno Fernandes and Bernardo Silva. And then when you go to attack, you got freaking you got obviously Cristiano Ronaldo and then Leao. And Leao's been playing very, very good.
Unbelievable.
Player of the month, I believe, either last month or the month before in Serie A.
Yeah.
And obviously, he's never played with this. He hasn't really got a chance to play with his Portugal squad, but hopefully, he can, get into and get on the same page with everybody. Because this squad, this Portuguese squad, is the best it's been since I can remember. I can remember the last time I can't remember since ever in the Cristiano Ronaldo era that they've had a team where we could say they could make the final.
Yeah.
Because Bernardo Silva is he's one of the most underrated
He's so
players.
Underrated, man. He's so underrated. It's because Man City is so good.
Are so good. And Bruno's kind of fallen off, but I think he's definitely
still Bruno.
He's still Bruno. He's good to have. And I forget the name of their central defensive player. He always Carvalho. I was thinking Carvalho. It depends on who they want to play there. I'm not sure who they would play there. Carvalho is the more veteran player. I think he's a better defensive guy because if they would play, I'm thinking they're playing a 4-3-3. I have no idea what they want to play because I would put Ronaldo as the poacher as the 9.
Yeah,
and I think Ronaldo is readying himself for a big tournament because this is the world stage and
this is his last hurrah.
This is his last hoorah of like a top level play because God knows what's going to happen with his whole club situation and the fact that he just hasn't had a lot of chances to play. And I think he's going to do. There's no other situation ever that he would want to show out more than for his country
100%.
In his last World Cup. And I think he's going to get as far as the semifinal. I don't see him going all the way, to the final like you do. But I think it's going to be a respectable, because I can't see a lot of people saying before this hand of how far they would go. But they have a very, very good squad.
Yeah.
And I think they can go very, very far.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I mean, their squad like the depth on their squad is so good, and that's not even including. I keep saying his name. That's not even having Jota, who's a great player. It's one of those things. This team, it's so good on paper, but it's something you kind of have seen in the past. It comes down to Fernando.
They don't mesh, yeah. They don't mesh.
But Fernando Santos, as the manager, his squads and his teams have consistently underperformed. You've seen it time and time again. They were able to win the Euros in 2016, but pretty much besides that, they've just always underperformed as to how good we think they could be. And, the attack is amazing. I had it literally written down here. Bernardo Silva performance will be key because he's such a great player in my eyes. And I think he's bound to have a really, really great World Cup. I expect a great World Cup from him. The defense is strong. It's well balanced. I just think it's going to come down to how they all mesh together. And if Ronaldo has the World Cup that I expect him to have, people are making it out to be like Ronaldo is a completely washed, finished player. This World Cup, I think he's really compared to his situation right now at Manchester United, which we're going to get into after this, it's just, he doesn't have any belief with him there. They want him out, and stuff like that. This Portugal team they actually believe in him. They respect him and all of those things. He's going to be that guy, the number 9. He's not the player that he was, obviously, but he still can contribute. He can score the goals. He's the greatest goal scorer of this generation at the end of the day.
Greatest goal scorer of all time.
Of all time, yeah. So it's just like one of those things. If he has the World Cup I expect him to have, it won't particularly matter. Fernando Santos being a kind of a bad manager, in my opinion. He's not the greatest option.
Not
it's
the best one,
similar to England's issues with Gareth Southgate. If Portugal had a different manager than Fernando Santos, I think I'd be having a different conversation. And even with that, I still think they're going to the final. But I think if anything's going to hold this team back, it's got to be that, because on paper, the squad is just so good. Leao, Bernardo Silva, Ronaldo, even though he's not quite the same player, their defense is good. The
Even
rest
even
of the
the yeah,
midfield.
the only hole in their defense is obviously they have like a 60-year-old Pepe, but like
Exactly.
they have the left back from PSG,
Yeah,
PSG,
Nunez, yeah.
Newmans, who's pretty solid, but
Young
good to have.
player.
Like they have
He's good in the attack as well.
a solid left back and right back. They can attack from those left back and right. I mean, it's Cancelo. Cancelo, I think, is one of the best utility knife people you could have because
Exactly.
he can
100%.
literally play anywhere. He can
100%.
actually play fucking anywhere. And he's very good on defense and he's very good on attack. And Diaz is just that stopper. And I
Oh yeah.
think they're
Ruben
still
Diaz is an amazing center
they're
back.
still running Rui Patricio in goal. I believe. I think it's still
Yeah.
Rui
Yeah.
Patricio. Then he's a solid keeper. I mean,
He always
been
steps up his performance in the big moments.
he's always been there. He's a veteran, and and like I said, their midfield's good. The other thing is, I don't know quite what formation they're gonna play. I'm not sure
Yeah, like I
what they're
said,
gonna run.
it comes down to those Fernando Santos tactics.
Yeah.
I don't
Oh
know.
God.
It's just one of those things. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. The sky is the limit for this team. If you tell me, if somebody from the future came here and told me Portugal won the World Cup, I wouldn't be surprised. However,
Yeah.
in the same breath, if somebody from the future came here and told me Portugal, they got knocked out in the quarterfinals or the round of 16, I also couldn't be surprised. It's like the
Yeah.
sky is the limit, but also they could flop. It's just so in between. I think it's going to be the higher end of that scale, and they're making the final. But also, I could see them going out, relatively kind of early, compared to what I think. It's just so up in the air with them.
Yeah.
Because there's so many question marks. It's just we don't know exactly what we're getting. But my prediction of them going to the final is more. I think that those question marks are going to be answered, but in a positive way. But at the same time, they could be answered in a negative way. And Ronaldo has a bad World
A
Cup
bad
and
World Cup.
cements
Yeah.
himself as him falling off. And Leao doesn't quite, do what we
This
expect on
doesn't
the
mesh
big
with it.
stage. We see it's easy to do that when you're playing for AC Milan, but on the biggest stage, playing with Cristiano Ronaldo and the pressure, is Leao going to step up and be that guy? We don't know. It's just so many question marks.
Yeah. But I think this does get a little bit of, speaking of Portugal, makes it a good segue into the whole Cristiano Ronaldo situation that's happening right now. Him dropping the absolute, like, this is almost unprecedented. A player's, I think, never done this before. I've gone on a talk show with Piers Morgan, and has done an interview where he's bashing the club that he's currently playing for, bashing the coach and bashing the owners. It's unheard of. I've never heard of it. But who else to possibly do it than Cristiano Ronaldo? But
100%.
what was your initial reaction to when this stuff was getting leaked out and we started to get some of the idea, and when we fully watched the first part of the interview?
Yeah. So when we first started to see the clips, the first initial clip that came out, talking about, the club, they didn't believe in him. They wanted him out. There's inner workings, behind the scenes stuff in the club talking about, we don't want Ronaldo. It's time to get him out and stuff like that. It's just crazy, man. I tend, a lot of people are looking at it, multiple ways, saying that, that the club is in the right. And I'm not saying that the club is necessarily in the wrong. In some things they are, but I tend to sympathize with Ronaldo on this because I still feel like he can contribute to a good club. He was literally their leading goal scorer last year. He was second place in the Golden Boot. Manchester United wouldn't have finished the way that they finished without Ronaldo last season. He's not he might not be the player that he was, but he can definitely still contribute. And it's just one of those things for Manchester United to be treating him in this way. I can't really respect that. I think there's a reason why Manchester United are where they're at as a club and where they're going to continue to go, which is on the decline. And it's for things like this. You can't treat not only your club's probably best ever player, all-time legend, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't treat anybody like this. But then when you're doing it to Cristiano Ronaldo of all things, it's just unheard of. It's crazy. And then we just see that from the clip, and it's like, oh my God. And then obviously the other things from the interview, such as him calling out, the pundits that are getting on him, like Gary Neville and Wayne Rooney. I thought that was quite funny. It's just one of the things. Ronaldo, I can understand why the criticism, it hurts and it sucks, especially given what happened to his daughter or his son. His daughter made it, but his son unfortunately didn't.
Yeah. Just how
such an unfortunate situation. But I can understand why he feels some type of way about the criticism. But it's just one of those things. I think in that case, I don't quite necessarily agree with Ronaldo. I think it's just you should expect that at this point of his career. He's played for the biggest club in the world, Real Madrid. He's played at the highest level for so long. He's got to know criticism is going to come. It's going to go. Sometimes he's going to be praised. Sometimes he's going to not. It's just one of the things. There's a lot of things in this interview I can sympathize with Ronaldo, especially like the club, not believing that his daughter was being sick and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can't even. That's more immorally wrong.
Yeah.
Like
that he
I can't respect that.
The owners don't believe him.
I just can't even respect that. That's just human to human. That's just wrong. And but then there's some things like and I wanted to. I hope you'll probably touch on this, but I definitely want to hear your thoughts on it because what he said about young players of today's generation. That's something we didn't know he was going to say. Obviously,
that was something that was really leaked, but it was like because he didn't like only go after the ownership and the coach. He's quite literally throwing the players of United under the bus.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
He's bringing it all down. And this was another thing that I played with, that there was reports that this is also affecting Bruno Fernandes because they play on the same team. Like, this drama is tough because how do you go from like that to your nation to where like what's going on exactly? Like, because Ronaldo's straight out calling them out saying, I lead by example. These people don't follow me. That's why they won't have long careers. They don't care. I don't know. I think it's also kind of difficult to understand quite how Ronaldo's trying to say it. He's coming off so bluntly because obviously English is not his first language. So he comes off like bluntly that they don't care and shit like that. I don't think he quite like literally means that, oh, they don't care about football at all. It's just that he thinks they're not as dedicated as he is, and which is probably fucking true.
It's probably true.
He's Ronaldo, and but the thing I circled the most of that was funny. He said these young players need to suffer a little more. I'm like, what the fuck?
Hey,
but it is, in a sense, it is true because I can guarantee you Phil Foden or like players like this magnitude have not suffered like Cristiano Ronaldo has in the small parts of Portugal.
Exactly. I say this in the best way possible, but Ronaldo, he was really poor. He had no money. He was broke. He was just like football was his way out, and obviously he turned that into a legendary career and arguably the greatest player of all time. In my opinion, second greatest player of all time. That's neither here nor there. It's just
oh my God.
The players of today definitely, some of them have, not everyone goes through hardship and some do. Like I think it's crazy to say that there is not a single young player that has gone through hardship to get up to this point. But there's definitely a lot of players like a Phil Foden, no disrespect to him or whatever, but he didn't have it hard like Ronaldo. He probably had a lot of stuff handed to him his whole life.
And go through those like nice academies and shit like that. It's like Ronaldo didn't really get that.
Yeah.
And I get where Ronaldo's coming from, but I think it's like you kind of you start to come off as like that old man at the at the family barbecue, the guy that hates the young way and how things have changed. And how he says like these players won't have longevity. That's
crazy,
a bold statement to say that, oh yeah, you guys don't follow me, you're just not gonna have long careers.
And I can't really agree with that. Phil Foden is going to be around for a long time. It's players like that.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's not directly saying Phil.
No, I'm not saying he is. But Phil
yeah.
Foden is the first one that I'm thinking about, as well. He's a young talent. That comes
to my head. And he did give props to what the center back Argentinian was it?
Lisandro Martinez.
Lisandro Martinez. There's so many Martinez's on that fucking team, Jesus. But yeah, that was a player he did give props to, and
he also gave props to Diego Dallo.
And Diego Dallo on that team said that he believes they will flourish into good players. That they're young players that will flourish into good players, and that makes you think. What does he think of Rashford, or what does he think of
Sancho.
Sancho? And it's like this is basically he's talking about these guys that like they don't follow me. I lead by example. I'm not a huge talker, and that was only one thing. But then it's like it goes back to why did Cristiano Ronaldo do this? Is because he doesn't want to play for United no more. It's
Exactly.
clearly he. Then I would be absolutely like just I would fall on my head if I ever see him even like walk out in the tunnel of Old Trafford ever again.
It's over.
Because
Yeah.
even Eric Ten Hag has already come out and said he's told the owners that he never wants Ronaldo to play for the club again. I mean, that's just how it is. That Ronaldo straight up said, "I don't respect you.
Yeah. You
I
can't
don't
come back
like
from that.
you. You can't." And there's no like there just is no fixing that. That's irreparable. And the fact that Ronaldo hasn't handled himself the most like the greatest. It's because we see him like walking off the pitch before full time. That's you don't really associate that with Cristiano Ronaldo to look
100%.
unprofessional, but it's just the situation he's been put in. He's mad that he can't that he's not being used, and I think it's stupid because Eric Ten Hag before is saying, "Oh yeah, Cristiano Ronaldo is a part of my plan." What fucking plan is that exactly? I don't understand.
Plan F.
What's your plan? And some people I've seen the defense of, oh, when Eric Ten Hag was in the preseason trying to build his team to see what system he want. Well, Ronaldo saying his daughter was sick. I mean, like, are we supposed to say, Ronaldo, you're a fucking liar? It's like, I mean, yeah,
Hell no.
you have to take him at his word, though. That's why he wasn't at the preseason, not because he's. It's hard to say because it could be like, oh, his daughter was sick, but it also plays in the fact that he did want to leave as well. Like two
Yeah.
things can be true. Like other one
Exactly.
doesn't have to be completely
He was close
wrong.
to joining Man City. He confirmed that himself in the interview. I
And
think.
yeah,
What were you saying?
no, you can go for it.
No,
I was saying, yeah.
I think that's obviously another bombshell that was dropped. I just think it's interesting. You know, I think he's handled himself maybe not the most professionally
Not
considering
great. It's not very graceful.
what we think about Cristiano Ronaldo, but I think he's doing the right thing in the grand scheme of things. He shouldn't be at Manchester United because they're looking for two different things at this very moment. Ronaldo's at the end of his career trying to win the last trophies that he can. And Manchester United, they're in a rebuild, kind of trying to get back to where they were. And it's one of the reasons why at the time it didn't quite make sense. He's going back because, it's where he originally kind of started after Lisbon and things like that. But it just never quite made sense. Like the ambitions of the two, especially at this point in Ronaldo's career, just never quite aligned. And, if you're not getting used, especially, and he feels like he's being disrespected by not only the club, the owners,
The
the
owners.
manager, everything. I understand why he's doing what he's doing, and honestly, I can agree with his sentiment. Now, some of the things that he's saying, he's just getting it all off his chest instead of just focusing on one thing. He's calling out Gary Neville. He's calling out
Gary
Wayne
Neville.
Rooney. He's pretty much getting everything off his chest. And ultimately, I'm not, I prefer Messi to Ronaldo, but that's not the point that I'm trying to make. I can respect what Ronaldo's doing, why he's doing it. And ultimately, I think he's making a good decision. And I can't really wait to see part 2 of the interview.
Yeah.
One thing, he made a big point to down on Ralph Rangnick, saying, who was this guy? Why would you get a sport director?
That one was crazy to me.
That was crazy. That was crazy.
He's just fully saying who is this guy? I can't believe you even tried this guy.
But I agree. I don't know if you agree.
I mean, to an extent, yeah. I can understand what Ronaldo is saying, and the football was not good under Ragnick. There was no such thing as Ragnick ball. Like, it's not very good. It wasn't good.
But the other point that he ended up making with that is that he liked Ole, and he said Ole deserved more time. So, do you agree with Cristiano Ronaldo? Do you think Ole should have got more time?
No, no. He's saying that because he liked Ole, and when I was watching it, he kind of didn't. He said that, but he didn't really believe it. He really likes Ole, so he just kind of saying it. He doesn't want to directly say like, "Oh, Ole wasn't a good manager either," because he just wasn't. I mean, Ole at the wheel, he's driving you off the cliff. It's not going good places. And I think I think to take on the job of United, his big point was that there's just been no development from the club. It's everything's the same, even
the jacuzzi,
the kitchen, the
jacuzzi,
all this, he's picking all this. It's the same as an advanced technology hasn't really advanced much either. And I think that's his big problem with the club, that he hasn't seen many advancements, and that it's getting left behind by Man City and by all these other teams, because
even Arsenal, he said.
Yeah, even Arsenal, that ever since Sir Alex left, it's never been the same, and it's crazy that it shocked him that it hasn't been any different.
Yeah, 100%. And from what we saw, first of all, this is my time right here. Piers Morgan, you have blood on your hands, man. If you're watching this, putting commercials on YouTube for this is disgraceful, bro. 3-minute commercials that you can't skip on YouTube. This is despicable. Absolutely despicable.
I didn't think it was actually 2 parts anyway. I was like, wait, there's a part 2? And bro, it's just like this is these companies like, oh yeah, we're just gonna milk the shit out of it.
They're milking it.
They're milking the shit out of it.
He is milking this so much. And I understand why he's doing it, but it's just like, damn, bro. Damn.
If you're gonna put commercials in it, at least make them fucking different, man. That's not the same damn commercials.
Bro, I do not care about Asda supermarket having an egg shortage, bro. How many times did I have to see it, bro? I do not care, bro. It's just like, damn. But now that I've gotten that grievance out of the way, and I'm gonna look tomorrow when the part 2 drops. I'm gonna sit myself. I'm gonna sit myself through those commercials as well, because what else am I gonna do? But damn, it's gonna suck with the commercials. But if that part's gonna suck, but this part 2 of the interview, I wish we could talk about it. We'll talk about it on the next episode, I guess. I wish we could talk about it now, but we don't know what's gonna be said. But it looks like that's gonna be the most spicy part of the interview.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the most juicy stuff. It was already juicy, but from what I'm kind of hearing and what I think, part 2 is going to be the real juice and meat and potatoes.
Like calls out the owners and shit.
And I can't wait to see it.
That's where the leak comes out, where he fully just says, he doesn't respect me, so I don't respect you.
And that's and the full context behind that and everything. I can't wait to see all of that. So that's why I just can't wait until tomorrow's part 2 of the interview to drop. And I know for a fact there's going to be some crazy stuff said. And next week we will be talking about it, even if it is it's not necessarily old news by then, but it'll be like 5 days old, but it's Ronaldo. So
it's Ronaldo.
It's bro. People are gonna be talking about this for months, a long time. This is gonna be around for a long time because of what you said at the beginning when we first started talking about it. This is unprecedented. Nobody has ever done anything like this, and it's fun to watch. I mean, it's interesting.
I mean, you can't look away. I mean,
how could you?
Yeah.
But is that everything?
I think that was the last thing we had on the list there for current events at this moment.
Yeah. So with all that being said, we'll go ahead and wrap this one up. I think we just want to, for anyone who's made it to this point, it's a pretty long episode.
For the one person that's watching this far out,
we appreciate the support. It's probably my mom. Hi, Mom. But we appreciate all the support we've been getting, man. We're going to continue to run it up. Obviously, it's just as simple as that. We're continuing to grow. We're continuing to grind. And we got, obviously continuously new content coming out. We're eagerly waiting on new things to happen so that we can talk about them. But also, the NFL is going to continue to heat up like always. But now for the next month, we have the greatest tournament in the history of sports, I would say, the World Cup. So we're going to be heavily talking about it. I can't wait to talk about the first matches and our thoughts on what we've been seeing. That's definitely going to be next episode. And probably, a lot of other things. There's probably some stuff we don't even know yet. So we'll just go ahead and wrap this one up with anything you want to say.
They're just doubling on that, and anything you guys want to comment and for engagement. We want to know what you guys think of these topics. We want your opinions on it. I think everybody has different opinions. That's what makes the beauty of talking and podcasting, this whole idea of fun, that we like connecting with everybody, even if 100%. It's you disagree with us, because there's a lot of people that's going to disagree.
Oh yeah,
which is 100% fine. but I just want to. I like seeing it, and I like the just the back and forth of it.
100%. So
yeah,
ready to officially wrap this one up.
Yeah, 3 hours in the can. I think we're good to wrap it up.
The longest ever episode.
3 fucking hours.
So yeah, this was episode 28 of the Shoot It Straight podcast. We appreciate all the support. We can continue to run it up. Episode 29 coming soon. Obviously, I'm your co-host Zach.
I'm G.
And we'll see y'all next time, man. Peace.